Hello, everybody, and welcome tonight. Brand new guest to the channel, bearded film guy. You may recognize him from the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. Made his appearance there. Everybody, say hello to Chris. Chris, thanks for doing this.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. I have to say that I loved the rewards, like the award show. It was great. I think I had the nicest looking video of all the guests. I'm just saying, I put some work in there. Not to discredit anybody else, it was pretty good. That's
It
no, I'm
was
serious,
pretty HD. I will stand by that.
dude. I was honored. I was sitting by. I was just sitting here, like watching the stream. Like, oh man, I hope I do a good job. I hope I did a good job. And the moment came, and I was like, God, I didn't mess up too bad. Nice.
I love that you had filmed the video, sent it in, and then hoped that you did a good job, like you didn't already see it.
Yeah. Well, I don't watch my stuff back. That's the one thing I refuse to do is watch my stuff back because then I'll overanalyze and pick things apart and
Right.
just leave it. You know what I mean? So I just don't
Of
do
course,
that.
yeah. It's a brand new guest to the show. So first, I mean, we got to get to know Chris and let everybody know. You got a YouTube channel. Why don't you share what you do over on your channel with everybody?
Yeah, so the channel is the name that you see here. It's Bearded Foam Guy. I'm still trying to. The channel kind of started a couple years ago as just like I'll just show off what I buy, and then I kind of learned that I'm not interested too much in doing that, and I didn't think people were too much interested in me just doing that. So I'm trying to turn it more into a mix of physical media and a mix of discussion. I'm
Right.
doing the Severin showcase on there where I'm breaking those down. I'm doing the Inside of Mind of Coffin Joe box set now. So I'm trying to get more into deep dives and discussing things a little bit further and trying to kind of have that balance of both. You know what I mean?
For those that have not watched anything on your channel yet, just to get a taste of your general appreciation for film, what's your current favorite label? Is it Severin?
Yeah, it kind of goes up and down. So a couple years ago it was Vinegar Syndrome. And then after my fascination with Vinegar Syndrome, it became Severin only because I started kind of getting exposed to some subgenres that I loved, and I kind of started getting into like sicker shit, basically. And then now with like me being so into Severin, now it's like massacre film, like there's just a bunch of labels that I've kind of
Yep.
learned to to get into now. I mean, it always changes. I just bought my first two indicator titles,
Oh
so
wow.
like yeah, things are constantly changing, but yeah, lately it's I would say for 2024 it's Severed for sure. Yeah,
Interesting. First two indicator
yeah,
titles. Are you
yeah,
sharing those in pickups tonight?
absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, let's get into it because I'm dying to know what those two are. What your first two choices were.
All right, so let me grab them here. So I grabbed. So I tend to do this thing where I get into directors, and I
Mhm.
tend to like deep dive into. I get obsessed typically. So I actually found these on Amazon, and I was like, I don't know if it's like these seem up my alley. So I grabbed two Gene Rollin ones. So I got Fascination. This just came in, and I got Night of the Hunted.
Nice.
So, and these were still the limited editions. I forget what number I got of this, but I got like 3108 of 4000 Fascination. Just heard some amazing things about them, so I figured let me give it a try. And I love this presentation.
Yeah.
The the fact that they cram a book in here and it's still beautiful and it's not 6 inches wide.
Yeah. It's it is an impressive look when they get them in these smaller cases for indicator.
Oh yeah, for sure. Them and then I'm trying to get. I have one on like watch right now on eBay. I'm trying to get that limited box set from Radiance of Messiah of Evil
Yep.
that I missed out on, and I saw the trailer the other day for it through. I think it was like an ad, and I was like, God damn it, I need that movie, and I can't just buy the special edition now. I need to seek down
Right.
the out of print box edition. So, you know,
Totally get that. Uh,
you know how
we
it goes.
we got a question for you in the chat. Josephine DeMarco says, "Do you own or have you ever seen any Ralph Bakshi films?"
I actually don't even know any Ralph Bakshi film. Please educate me because I'm like an open book. Like just introduce me to stuff, please.
Ralph Bakshi is he's like one of the pioneers of adult animation. He did
Okay.
a lot of like the psychedelic like music focused animation films that came out primarily like God, when the first one was early 70s, I think. Yeah, there's probably a couple titles he's did that you'd recognize.
Okay. Yeah,
He's pretty
never Yeah, that's kind of like an empty spot in my filmography knowledge right now.
Funny enough, you mentioned Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome originally had announced that they had a Ralph Bakshi film that they were going to put out, the old school Coonskin, and something happened, and they have not put that out. No idea what happened with the rights there, but yeah, they still have not released that.
Coonskin.
Coonskin, yeah. After the show, why don't you look that one up and find out what that's about?
I will.
All right. Any other pickups?
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. Man, have you ever heard of this show called The Hunger?
I have.
Because somebody sent me this off of my Amazon wish list. And first of all, I did not know that Tony Scott and Ridley Scott did a TV show together.
Yeah.
And then I got it in and I pick them up and I'm like, let me look at this. And the first keyword I see is sexy, erotic, and stylish. And then on season 2, I see explicit, vicious, and dark. And I'm like, yeah, color me intrigued. So
sounds like season 1 is Tony Scott, season 2 is Ridley Scott.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like a combination there. And then other than that, the only me and everybody else in the world, every other collector, I got the. Let me see if I can pull these out.
I'm gonna call it these.
No, I actually did not get those.
Oh, I thought that's for sure. That's what you were about to show when you're saying every other collector.
Nah, man, dude. No, I got Possessor and Green Room from Second Sight.
See, I don't even have those yet. Good job.
Oh, dude. Oh, man, look at me. I have something else that you don't have, though. Check this out. Check these out.
Look at that.
Look at these.
Man, that looks really nice in person.
That's VIP treatment, man. VIP. Yeah, I have one. I think I have the other compendium. It's coming tomorrow. So it'll be 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Coming tomorrow. But dude, these are wicked. This quality is incredible.
I appreciate that so much. I can't wait for more people to see these because it's so hard to explain how much work has gone into beating Amazon to get these printed. We got that one, I think it was issue 6 printed fairly much no problem. And then issue 7 came and they denied everything for literally a month straight. And we just said, screw it. We're going to get the next issue going. We'll find out what's happening. We'll redesign some things. We'll see what's going on. And now everything is available. I'm so glad everybody could check all of these out.
Didn't you say the barbell or the barcode was too close? I didn't even know that was a problem.
There are so many random ass things that they dinged us for. They dinged us for something bleeding on one page, which actually wasn't there. There was words close to the barcode. That was an issue, which it wasn't. I even put a black rectangle behind where the barcode was supposed to go, and they denied that as well. I'm so confused by what they say is not okay. And now you'll see the back of them has changed dramatically. I had put illustrated covers on the back, and now it's okay, but it's not the exciting back that I wanted on all of them.
I mean, I think it's great though. Like when I got them, because I have issue 6 and it has the Monster Squad artwork on the back as well. I think this is perfectly fine. I mean, I don't really look at the back. It's more the front. I'm me personally, I'm worried about. Right. I don't know, but yeah, I think it looks good, dude. I think it looks great. It's just awesome to actually have these because I don't have a Kindle. I don't read things on my phone, so I couldn't read most of the issues. Couldn't even read the issue that I wrote a letter into. So to have these is it's such a cool feeling, man. And to have them before you is even better feeling. So,
yeah, mine won't be here for another week. I'm stoked that everybody's getting these already. Please, if you do get them, leave a review on Amazon. It goes a long way, helps like suggest them to other people if they see that people are interacting with them. But the big thing, I dreamed about getting these physically for so long, and then once we hit the monthly limit, because I think you have to have a minimum of 24 pages. Once we got there, it was like, well, now we have to print this every single month. There's no excuse. Yeah. So I'm stoked to get it out there.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on top of. There's a shelf out of view that's going to be on top of the Fangoria issues over there. So just know that that's where it belongs.
I'm honored that you're supporting it. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
Handful of pickups for me. Got in the Inspector Wears Skirts 2 from 88 Films. This is for review from MVD. This one, brand new commentary from Frank Jang, which he's incredible. So glad that he is on there. And speaking of extras, tonight after the announcements, we are covering 5 of our favorite releases, like with the best extras package, just everything all on the disc. What makes it an incredible disc for us? Why it's one of our favorites. I have 3 here that immediately when we decided on this topic, I went, those are the 3 I'm doing. And then I kind of had to go search for the other 2, but man, I feel like I got a really solid top 5. Next thing, I showed him just a minute ago. This is the talk of the physical media town this week, of course. Everybody complaining about the James Cameron transfers. If you did not see it, I put out a live video earlier this week with Paul over at Twinflix. We discussed these a little bit because, man, this is so overblown. Everybody's complaining about things that, to be honest, almost don't exist. Yes, there was AI enhancement used for these transfers. Little secret, it's used in most transfers from most companies. It's just not as egregious as it is with True Lies. So the way that I'm saying it is True Lies, it's a huge upgrade over what we had before. There are a couple scenes that's a little too glossy and it's a little weird. It does get close to that uncanny valley feeling, but it's not unwatchable. Then after that, Aliens looks incredible. It's a massive upgrade. It's easily the second best of these 3. It's very, very good. But the winner, man, The Abyss looks remarkable in 4K. And from what I hear, they were trying out this process and they literally did it in order. They started with True Lies. They did that one. They learned a little bit, went to Aliens. They took what they learned, made it better, all enhanced, and did The Abyss last. And it turned out the best of the 3 because they had the most experience.
So hopefully that means their 4K of Terminator that they've recently announced will be the best ever, right?
Terminator and like 9 other titles leaked this week, and if we do get Terminator, and honestly, the rumor is we're supposed to be getting a brand new Terminator 2 restoration, which would fix what they screwed up in the last 4K. It would be a remarkable change from what we had seen through his stuff, especially if those look even remotely close to as good as The Abyss looks, because these discs, none of these discs are something that people should avoid unless you're hypersensitive to like the tiniest amount of smoothing. They still look incredible. Even True Lies, which is the worst of the 3, it's a massive improvement.
I still think it's funny, man, because on Facebook groups I see people complaining about things and words I've never heard before in my life, and I want them. I want all 3 of them, but I just every single time I went on Amazon to pre-order, I was like, I feel like this is going to get delayed. I'm going to wait. And then now it's like if I go on Amazon, it's not delivered till middle of April. I'm like, I'm going to wait till this thing kind of settles down. I was like, and then I'll grab these. I don't need the slips, and I've heard they're already shipping without slips. So we'll see. Yeah, I've seen some people post that they got them. I know Diabolic posted all 3, but without slips.
Weird. Yeah, they are not limited. The amount of people that are scalping these discs and literally selling them for like $80, ridiculous. Please don't succumb to that. These will be here for the next couple of years at the very least, I promise. If not for at least the next 5 years, you'll probably be able to get them for like $10 in 18 months. Just calm down. You'll be able to get them, I promise.
Walmart's right around the corner from announcing a steelbook of each of them anyway, so you know.
That's quite possible. Quite possible. Last thing I wanted to share, when I do some of these interviews and I post them for everybody, I get excited and sometimes go and buy things. And I recently did the Cult Epics interview and had to go track down the short film that Nico was talking about on there of Pig, and it's on this crazy looking Blu-ray release that he did, doubled with 1334, another of his shorts. And this is one I'm interested in seeing, mostly because I'm fascinated by it, not because I'm like eager to see the torture. But I will trust Cult Epics with almost anything. He is an incredible person. Hope everybody enjoyed that interview. John says, no Necromantic. I've owned Necromantic, I think 4 different times already. That's it for pickups. How about some recent watches for you, my friend? Anything you've been checking out recently?
So I kind of been like, I recently did the Severin, I think it's the February haul. So I watched Hotspur and Scavengers, which were
nice.
my first 2 experiences with a Crest Frost film. both of those were. I felt like when I did the video, I had only watched them once, and I was like, I couldn't really like clearly articulate my thoughts. So I revisited Hotspur, and I enjoyed it so much more the second time.
Nice.
Still need revisit Scavenger, but of those three, Lola was such a surprise to me, and I don't know if you've seen that yet.
Not yet. It's getting rave reviews though.
Dude, it's really, I'm not like, to me, found footage, it has become like the entry genre for filmmakers, and it's sort of the same recycled stuff,
Yeah.
over and over again for the most part. And it did it really different. It did it low budget. It was really good. I found myself really, really intrigued, and it's like 83 minutes, so you can just breeze right through it. So that was awesome. Trying to think of what else I watched. I started diving into the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show
Nice.
set, but I haven't finished the movie I started, and I can't remember which one it was I started. It was really late at night. Probably had work the next morning or something, so, but outside of that, I finally watched the 4K release of House by the Cemetery by Arrow,
Nice.
and fantastic. Such a good set. I really wish I didn't buy the Cauldron Films release of Gates of Hell, so I could buy the Arrow City of the Living Dead, so they could
Right.
both be next to each other. But lately, it's really, I watched Leprechaun on St. Patty's Day, as we always do. Other than
course.
that, besides watching a show about Nickelodeon and ruining my childhood, man, I've been I haven't been watching too much.
Speaking of the other talk of the town this week,
Yeah, right?
yeah, that inside story of Nickelodeon has been making the rounds. Yeesh. I'm worried about it. I definitely want to check it out, but yeah, that's God, that's, the fact that they have enough footage to do multiple episodes of a crazy documentary that keeps unleashing like ridiculous details that's scary.
And I want you to know too that 5 minutes before you hopped on to do this, I was just standing in the hallway watching the infamous clip of Drake talking about his awful, awful experience. So that's kind of like the headspace I kicked off my night with. I don't know why,
Sweet.
but it's, dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, 4 episodes. How are they going to fill this? And there's so much more than what you expect.
Right.
It's awful, absolutely terrible. But still, I think you should watch it. So.
I absolutely will. Talk to my wife about starting it soon. Literally today we were talking about it. But the big thing this week for me, I finally checked out of the things that I can talk about that I watched this week. Weird, the Al Yankovic story. I finally caught up with that movie from a year and a half ago or whatever. And I don't know if it's just because I'm a giant Weird Al fan or because I was just hyped to watch it. It felt like a little bit of a letdown. Have you seen this one yet?
I haven't yet, man. I never really had like an attachment to Weird Al, and I also still struggle with Daniel Radcliffe post Harry Potter, except for Guns Akimbo.
Well, so. He disappears into the character kind of like he did with Guns Akimbo, so I don't think that will be a bother for you. It's a good movie. I don't want to deter anybody away from it. It's definitely good. My problem, I don't think there will ever be another music biopic that works because of Dewey Cox. Walk Hard, a Dewey Cox story it's a perfect movie. And it, unfortunately, after watching that fairly recently, it outshines Weird by about tenfold. And unfortunately, there's not really much that I feel like they could have done better in Weird. It meandered a little bit in the second act, but other than that, like, it was fun. There's a scene where there's like, not exaggerating here, like 30 cameos in less than 4 minutes, which is really cool. But it doesn't have the shine and the constant comedy like Walk Hard did. I thought it was well done with the way that they did the music and all that, but other than that, Dewey Cox has ruined the genre for everyone else. It is a perfect film.
Do you think that genre is ever going to fade away?
I mean, probably not. It's an easy movie to make, and they've got the script is already out there because they've made the same movie 40 times before. We just got it this year with the Bob Marley movie.
Yeah, and then the Amy Winehouse one is coming out as well.
Yep.
And I thought they're like filming the Michael Jackson one now.
I believe so. Yeah.
Putting in work, those guys, man. Jeez.
That same script has been recycled many, many, many times. All right. I think that's all I've got. Anything else before we jump into the announcements?
No, no, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. First thing to discuss. Last week was the reveal of the Vinegar Syndrome Halfway to Black Friday tales that are coming. First, we are getting Navy SEALs as the VSU. We're getting China O'Brien 1 and 2 on 4K. We did know about this one. And then they announced Homegrown Horrors Volume 3, and this will feature Revenge, Haunted Ween, and Deadly Love. And then Cinematograph announced Dangerous Game on Blu-ray. These were available to pre-order all last weekend. I think one or two are still available on the site. Don't forget, if you ordered these or plan on ordering any of them, they will not be shipping until after the sale at the end of May. So you probably won't get these till the end of June-ish, unless you're a subscriber. I'd watch out for those. Any of those announcements extra exciting for you?
So I'm gonna pick up Navy SEALs for my fiance. She loves that movie. One thing I will say is I'm really upset when how do you say it? Cinematograph? Is that
Yeah.
okay? So when they announced Little Darlings, I was like okay, I was like this is beautiful, but I didn't pick it up. Right now I'm kind of
Right.
kicking myself in the butt. And then when Red Rock West got announced, I had just gotten the Umbrella release, so I was like okay, I was like all right. And then when they announced Dangerous Game, I was like, God damn it. There's no way I'm just going to pick up the third and not try to seek out the first to have a complete collection.
Right.
So now I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt. But yeah, and I just have to say I'm not going to pick up China O'Brien, but I absolutely love that Vinegar Syndrome acknowledged the fact that they were going to do it. I thought that was such a class act, for them to put out and say, hey, look, we are working on it, just a heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, I was kind of a little, I don't want to say like disappointed at the releases. I feel like we have such a high expectation for the Halfway to Black Friday stuff, such a high, and Navy SEALs is awesome. I'm super happy to see them expanding
Yep.
what they're touching, but I'm a little bit more intrigued at what the two mystery titles are.
They sound decent. I'm very excited to seek those out when the time comes. Of course, it's again Halfway to Black Friday is the second of their big states or big slates from the year. Black Friday they tend to go a little bigger on, but eager to see what else we're getting. And then of course there's going to be other announcements around then too. You know, there's
Yeah.
these will not be everything, I'm sure. So we'll find out more. Next up on our list is Criterion already. First, June 4th, we are getting a 4K of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Now, this had come out in 4K from Arrow in the UK and I believe Turbine in Germany. So now we are in the third 4K release, and Criterion late to the game with this one. So many people probably picked this up. Have you seen Fear and Loathing?
Yeah, man. Backcountry, dude.
This is a favorite of mine as well. The first line of this movie is, "We were just past Barstow when the drugs began to take hold," and I grew up in Barstow, so I take the line about drugs to heart, and it's absolutely accurate. So,
Yeah.
Once again, since it's a 4K release, nothing new. Literally just a 4K disc. Everything else about it is exactly the same.
So is it like, you know how everybody complains about 4K upgrades? Everyone's like, oh,
Yep.
this is what companies do. But I think there's a big difference between the companies that are like, hey, we're going to put this out on 4K and we're going to give you a couple of new features.
Right.
Criterion's just like, nope, here's a 4K disc and everything that we gave you before and the same artwork. Have it.
Everything is the same, except we'll put a shiny little silver sticker on the front of it.
Yeah, that you'll throw out when you open it anyway.
Right. And then you won't be able to tell if you have the 4K or the Blu-ray unless you read the back.
Yeah, you'll have no idea. Yep.
All right. Next from Criterion is Querelle. I'm not sure how you say this one because I am very, very white. So this is coming on June 11th on Blu-ray and DVD. This is a brand new introduction to the collection. This is a Fassbinder film, and one that people have wanted for a long time. And speaking of AI, this is the second of three AI controversies from this week. The first was the Cameron things. Stan says it's Carell. Thank you. Then this one, everybody saw this and immediately said, wow, Criterion is allowing AI art to be used on their covers. And the artist had to come out and say, no, 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 I use 3D modeling. And I'm all open to doing stuff like that, but I did edit everything on top of the modeling. And it was blown out of proportion for a day and a half. And everybody's still complaining about it because they don't like the cover. But it supposedly is a perfect fit for the film. I've not been able to see it yet, unfortunately. I've not seen many Fassbenders, but this one is an interesting insert into the collection. Any thoughts on this?
I feel like I've seen that cover in like that weird little romantic novel section of Walmart. I think I've seen this cover before. No, I know nothing about this, but I mean, I'm intrigued in a weird way. Like if I was at Barnes and Noble, 50% off sale, and this was sitting on their very small shelf, right. I'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Keith, the film is not animated, no, but it is very stylized, and supposedly it is a very gay film, from what I'm hearing. So
No way.
definitely works with this cover for sure. Even David says it's probably his gayest, which is saying something.
I had no idea based on the cover art.
Well, either way, it's exciting, and I'm into it. Speaking of gay, Criterion is doing Bound on 4K and Blu-ray on June 18th. For the record, this movie is a remarkable achievement. I hope people check this out. If you've never seen this or seen a previous release of it, like the Olive release, Olive is, no more, but that release from Olive is literally one of their best. And man, Criterion came out and they are taking it to the next level. This release looks incredible. The artwork looks great on this. We are getting on this an audio commentary with the Wachowskis. It is an old commentary. They don't really do commentaries anymore, unfortunately. There's a new video essay on this by Christina Newland. There's 6 interview programs with a bunch of individuals from the film and some trailers and a new cover by Sister Hyde, who did incredible, including, as always, hiding a little secret heart in there, and you see it in the blood in the bottom left corner. Yeah, Sister Hyde's incredible artist. Bound. Have you seen Bound?
I have. Yeah, I mean, dude, Jennifer Tilly. Come on, that's I actually saw this early on, and I didn't even know that this was a movie, and then I watched it, I think, a couple years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. But this is how you do a 4K. This is it. No previous 4K release. Perfect movie, I think, for the Criterion. It needed a restoration. It needed something new. It needed to get more modern eyes on it. I think this is a perfect Criterion announcement.
Yep, sums that up perfectly. Fully agree. Next one is Victims of Sin from 1951. This is coming on Blu-ray. Entry into the Mexican pantheon of Criterion films. Not too many of those. I'm glad they're expanding that. On this one, we've got a new interview with filmmaker and archivist Viviana Garcia Besnay. A new interview with the cinematographer on the work of Gabriel Figueroa. There's an archival documentary on this, a trailer, some new sub-translations, and an essay by Jacqueline Avila. This one looks pretty dang good. From 1951, and Mexican cinema was kind of killing it back then.
That's the most Criterion album or cover art I've ever seen in my life.
It is a very Criterion cover art. Yeah, fully agreed. Next up is another kind of shocking entry to the Criterion Collection this month. June 25th, Blu-ray and DVD, Barry Jenkins' The Underground Railroad. Now, the reason this is shocking is because of the runtime on this. This is a mini-series. And the fact that this is coming, I believe this is the first one that they've done like this in full. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat there, but what this feels like is they're kind of laying the groundwork to get Twin Peaks: The Return in the Criterion Collection, I bet. This is like setting the I was going to say the groundwork, but I'll say the underground work to make sure that people are open to it, willing to pay for it, excited about it. And it's Barry Jenkins. He's been in the collection before. He's somebody that's an incredible filmmaker. I've been wanting to watch this. This is from 2021, and it's got some stuff on here. We got some audio commentaries on certain chapters of this. We've got a new graphic novel adaptation of Genesis. It's an unfilmed chapter of the Underground Railroad, which was written by Jenkins and Nathan C. Parker. There is a companion film by Jenkins on this called The Gaze. There's 7 teasers, which was made by Jenkins for the Underground Railroad, a short program for the building of the feature, and then an essay by Angelica Jade Bastien. Like, this seems like an incredible release.
Dude, this is really cool. And the thing is that there's so many good like mini series that
Yep.
there's kind of like a very small line between the quality of the film and the quality of the series.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but like I could see Criterion doing like True Detective.
Yep.
And a couple of other things if people are willing to pay for them. I mean, of course, obviously everybody's going to wait for the 50% off sale, but I think this is a super, because the show is what, like 546 minutes or something
like that. Yeah.
So I think this is a really cool announcement, and I hope that this succeeds. That way we can see kind of what they might be kind of planning in the background.
Yeah, that would be sweet. Brandon is saying, have I heard Criterion acquired Twin Peaks: The Return? No, I've not heard that. It's just they do everything David Lynch, and so obviously they never did the original Twin Peaks, but I could see them doing Twin Peaks: The Return because it's been looked at as like his most exciting entry in a very long time. So I could see them reaching into that. Next up, of course, speaking of Lynch, Blue Velvet on 4K. Same exact thing as we just mentioned. No difference from the previous release, but we do get a 4K Blue Velvet. I understand it's one of those things. People are either super excited because they love David Lynch, or just, it's just an upgrade, no big deal. But either way, I'm glad that we're getting this. All of Lynch's stuff should be in 4K somewhere.
Yeah, and I think the Blu-ray looks fantastic. Like we just watched it not long ago, and I thought it looked great. I'm not going to upgrade, but Dennis Hopper with a oxygen mask on in 4K sounds pretty good to me.
Exactly. Anything with Hopper should be in 4K. I'll stand by that.
Yeah. We don't have an Easy Rider 4K.
Good call. Hopefully soon. There was an indicator sale at Orbit, and it's all over, so we're going to bypass that. Imprint in Australia announced that on June 5th, they are releasing The Prisoner, the complete series. This is The Prisoner from 1967. Quite a well-known movie, quite a well-known show, and this is going to do very well for them. This is the, I think, 5th or 6th release in the Imprint TV run that they've been doing, and they are all incredible. Like the releases they've done for the Avengers, this is going to be a very, very good release. I'm stoked for this. I'm kind of hoping to get this eventually. I hope it doesn't sell out, but again, it's Imprint. Usually there's only 1,500 copies of the limited version of this worldwide, but I don't know. This one feels like it could sell out quick, or it could sit there for 4 years, and I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this one at all.
This has been referenced in lots and lots and lots of things, that's for sure.
Is it? Okay.
Sipner. All right, going to and first, I guess, speaking of Imprint, they are announcing brand new titles probably in like 25 minutes. I think they're announcing stuff tonight, and it sounds incredible. In fact, it sounds like they're alluding to they might be releasing their After Dark Neo Noir Cinema Volume 3 tonight. So we'll see on that. Warning to everybody that collects Mondo Macabro, next Thursday they are doing their next pre-order. We got 2 titles that you can choose from. The first is Fata Morgana from 1965. This says, a man rehearses a lecture he is planning to give analyzing serial killers. He claims that a woman is soon to be murdered in the city. It is inevitable, he explains, as some people are born victims while others are born to kill. This goes into much bigger detail on that, of course. This is going to be region-free, new 2K restoration from the OCN, Spanish audio with English subs. There's an interview with the actress Teresa Gimpera on here, interview with Angel Sala, who's the director of the Sitges Film Festival, and a commentary by Rachel Nisbet. And then if you get the Red Case Limited Edition, there's a reversible sleeve. Here is the other side of the art on that one. And then there is also a 24-page booklet with new writing by the director new writing on the film and director Aranda by Ismael Fernandez. And of course, this will be limited to 1,500 copies. Have you got much from Mondo Macabro?
I don't have any. I always see a couple releases of theirs that I'm interested in. For some reason, I didn't like pull the trigger on them, but I'm gonna take a note on this one because I'm really sold on garishly colored visuals and a hypnotic jazzy soundtrack. So I definitely want to check this one out.
I mean, to be fair, that's true of probably 35% of all of the Mondo Macabro titles.
It's like one of those labels that I feel like I and it's not to like their quality or anything, but I feel like I see releases from them and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. But then so much time goes before I see it again, I kind of forget. And then I see something like this and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta check them out.
Well, I will say, knowing the kind of stuff that you've praised heavily, I kind of feel like you would love every single title they've ever released. So,
I get those
fair warning, you would love them. The next title, which is the one that everybody seems to be very excited about, is Sex Apocalypse. This is the Spanish classified S title. They are doing this now as a series, I guess. This is volume 2. So the S classification is like their NC-17. This film was originally done in 2 versions. There's the S-rated softcore original, and then there's also a hardcore version, which they made for distribution in Italy. And this two-disc limited edition Blu-ray will include both versions of the film. This, of course, is starring Lena Romay, who is on the slipcover here. And to get that slip, you got to order through the limited release on Mondo Macabro, of course. This one is going to have a brand new 2K restoration of the S-rated version of the film. There's an interview with Carlos Ared, who's the biographer of Miguel Angel Plana. Interview with Spanish writer and director Richard Requant on the history of S films. And then a commentary by Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson. But then that limited release here, this is the only time you're going to be able to get this. It's going to have an extra disc entirely with that uncut 108-minute version of the film. And this will have a slipcover and then the inner sleeve, which will be new and uncensored. It won't have the Band-Aids on there, of course. And you'll get a 20-page booklet by Ismael Fernandez. This looks like an incredible release. Fair warning to everybody, if you do order this on your receipt, it will say S Apocalypse, just to avoid any problems with PayPal.
I'm buying this as soon as the stream is over. Like
it's not available till next Thursday. So
I'm buying this next Thursday after your next stream is over.
Oh man, yeah. There's so much coming from Mondo Macabro. They sent out an email earlier today, which if you have not seen it, everybody should go out there and check out this email. Let me see if I can pull it up in my other screen while I'm trying to look for this, because oh man, they basically just announced the rest of the slate for the rest of the year. So here it is. They said the ever-evolving 2024 schedule. In early summer, we are getting the Warrior Trilogy is a 2-disc slipcover set. We're also going to get a 70s French erotica 2-disc slipcover set, possibly one more release, but likely just those 2. And then in late summer, 4 brand new limited edition titles, all for the first time on U.S. home video ever. One of them an Indonesian horror, one of them a Spanish giallo, and then a Japanese and French 70s exploitation pair of shockers. Then the Halloween sale, there will be 3 4K releases, including the one that we've been talking about for the last year and a half, Cafe Flesh. It is going to be a big year for Mondo Macabro, that's for sure.
Dude, why have I not? This is dangerous, dude. This is like my alley. This is it right here.
Yeah, Mondo Macabro has the sleeves that you like. They have that well-made art house tinge to the sleeves. They've also got just the absolute depraved releases every so often that you're like, how did this get made? I secretly, I will say, in my heart of hearts, I still feel like Mondo Macabro is one of the last remaining pioneering labels out there. They go for the throat on every single release. They put their all into everything, and then on top of that, they're all just amazing movies. Literally, I don't think there's ever been one that I've watched from their catalog that I go, you know what, this kind of sucked.
Yeah, it's companies like this that I wish they would do like a like a subscription for, like a subscriber thing that I could
Yep.
just pay for, forget about it until a package shows up. Because everything you've talked about, I am 100% intrigued. So
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. Even everybody needs to buy that Bollywood horror box set that they put out if you've never checked it out, because oh my god, it is a gift to physical media, and it has not done well for them. So I'm still sad about
oh man. Yeah, I'm buying some tonight.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, Kino announced coming soon. The Visitors from 1972. This is a Elia Kazan film. I don't think I've seen this one. Starring James Woods, Steve Railsback, Patrick McVeigh, Chico Martinez, Patricia Joyce. Have you seen this one? Any thoughts?
No, half of Kino announcements, 99% of the time, I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
Half of Kino announcements, 99% of the. Okay, so you've seen none of them. Got it.
99% of the time, 50% of their announcements, I don't know what they are.
Next, May 14th on Blue from Kino is Daisy Miller from 1974. This is a Peter Bogdanovich film that people have been dying to get on a really nice Blu-ray, and it looks like we have it here. Brand new 4K restoration done by Paramount. There's a new interview with Sybil Shepherd in this, talking about remembering Daisy Miller. There's a new audio commentary by Peter Tunget. There is a archival commentary by Bogdanovich, and then an introduction by Bogdanovich as well. This will be a solid release for everybody that loves his stuff. I know it's a director that people really, really go for, so I'm glad this is coming out there.
Yeah, I'm happy for people that are waiting for this. I have no interest. I'm sorry.
I completely get it. Things that I have an immense interest in. May 10th, we are getting a 4K and Blu-ray release of Queen, Rock Montreal, and Live Aid from Mercury Studios. Growing up, I was a massive Queen fan. Wayne's World was a seminal moment for me, screaming along to Bohemian Rhapsody. My parents raised me on hair metal from the 80s, and I am dying to get this release. It is all of the best songs done in like the peak of their performance. You also got even an audio commentary on here by Brian May and Roger Taylor. There's performance footage and rehearsing for Live Aid. There is just so much on this, and the fact that it's in 4K, I am dying to pick this up. That's for sure.
Yeah, if there's somebody watching this who has never seen any footage of Queen's performance at Live Aid, it's a must watch, even in standard 720 on YouTube.
But also check out the 4K.
Also check out the 4K.
Next up, Alphaville coming on 4K from Kino. This is not dated yet, of course. No idea when it's coming, but it's a Jean-Luc Godard film. And if you are interested in this, want to highlight Deaf Crocodile's comment, you should check out The Unknown Man of Shandigor, which is an incredible title in the Deaf Crocodile slate. I think that was their first physical release, if I'm remembering right. And man, that movie blew me away the first time I watched it. So highly recommend The Unknown Man of Shandigor. But Godard, I'm usually pretty hit or miss on. So I've not seen this one, but interested to check it out.
This is part of the 50%.
Understood. Probably this one too. May 14th on Blu-ray, Kino's releasing Big Man on Campus. This is one they announced last year. This has a new audio commentary by the director, Jeremy Kagan, and Andrew Bentler also. There's including a new interview with actor and screenwriter Alan Katz on this. This is going to be a pretty dang good disc for a movie that is pretty much forgotten by a lot of people. Glad this is coming out, and hope people pick it up.
This is one that I saw, and I was like, I've never seen this, but I know this movie. So the other 50%.
We got a rare one, everybody. Next up, another one of my favorites. June 4th, we are getting a 4K steelbook of Rango from Paramount. The steelbook design's pretty rad. I'm just glad this movie is getting more attention and more love. This movie, I mean, it's also... It's kind of telling and ironic that we're talking about this the same week that Fear and Loathing was announced. There's so many parallels between those two movies, but Rango is a modern masterpiece of animation. Highly recommend it. Super underrated. So many people didn't watch this because it came out in that glut of like DreamWorks titles that were kind of overbearing, and a lot of people just looked the other way. This looks incredible.
Yeah, I feel like every time I bring this is one of my favorites. I feel like every time I bring this up to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that."
Yep.
So this is awesome to see.
Yeah, can't wait to see this 4K. Hopefully it looks amazing. It's Paramount, so it could go either way. Self-promotion for a quick moment. Put out the interview with Altered Innocence this week. I promised that last week, and I'm so glad that we could finally have this out. I did this interview with Frank like 6 or 7 weeks ago and was just sitting on it for a long time. This was such a long time coming. I first reached out to Frank a little over like somewhere around like 2 years ago, and they have grown in leaps and bounds since then. He has been incredibly busy, and I hope people check out this interview because the amount of knowledge and passion for the type of films that he put out, it radiates through this entire conversation. It was fun. Like I felt like it was just two people that love his films just hanging out for an hour, and it was just a good time.
Yeah, as somebody who doesn't own many Altered Innocence titles, one of the things I love about like film in general is just being able to appreciate the passion behind it. And even though I didn't know half of the titles you guys were talking about or brought up, I just enjoyed listening to two people talk about what they love. So if anything, it was worth it 100% for that.
Nice. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Next up, Vestron continues re-releasing their discs in steelbooks. May 14th, Walmart exclusive steelbook of The Gate is coming. Nothing new, still the exact same Blu-ray that they put out a handful of years ago. No new special features, just a Blu-ray steelbook. Again, this was in their okay period of transfers, but this one didn't really look that great. Unfortunately, I think that this deserves a little bit of a new restoration or an upgrade to. I don't really want to say an upgrade to 4K necessarily, but this one needs some help. But I understand loving the steelbook. It is a very nice steelbook for this movie. I can't really complain about that.
I think that's the best art they've done for any of the steelbooks yet.
Yeah, probably. And the next one we're about to talk about is pretty damn good too, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump to that one. The Lair of the White Worm. The same thing. They're doing another re-release, still May 14th, still Walmart exclusive. This movie is a great movie. The Vestron scan of this is not good. It is a fairly muddy scan. The steelbook, though, blows everything in that release out of the water. This is a beautiful steelbook. I'm stoked about it. I'm laughing at Def Crocodile's comment. My mom just asked me if I could send her a dead alligator pin. Oh man,
yeah, that cover rules. That my only problem is, man, I have like 20 of these with slips, and this is one of the titles that I'm missing that I haven't put out the $25, $30, $35 for yet.
Right.
So I'm hoping. I don't know if Vestron collectors are going to like replace the slip versions.
Some are already,
and that price will come down a little bit because I'm not throwing one steelbook on the Vestron shelf with the rest of the slips. It's just not happening.
I would not be surprised if all of the Vestrons that are getting replaced, which I don't know if all of them are getting replaced. That would be intense if they did all of them, obviously. But the ones that are getting replaced, I imagine the slip versions are going to drop in price by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The steelbook looks good, and it's a okay price. In fact, if I remember right, I think it's even cheaper than the original Blu-ray with the slipcover when it came out, even after inflation and all that. So, yeah.
How much are these at Walmart when they come out?
I think it's 25 okay. Or 20, something like that. But this is the Vestron line. A lot of people forget this because Vestron has been super cheap for the last couple of years. Vestron, for their first 19 releases, they were $30 on release day and didn't go on sale hardly ever. And then after they started lowering their prices, I think they got called out because it's you own the films. You don't have to pay licensing. Why are you charging so much for these? Once they got wind of that and they started releasing things for like $12, then the prices started to come down on everything, and people started to, like, Diabolic has done like 3 Vestron sales since then where everything was super cheap.
Well, I was just at Monster Mania, and they had like 5 or 6 older Vestron releases. Like I'm talking like in the teens of the they had like a couple really early ones with slips for like $20 just
Wow.
on the table. I was like, man, these things are still around. They're
Yeah, there are a lot of slips available for these things, that's for sure.
yeah.
Next up, Decal and Bleecker Street are teaming together to put out Sasquatch Sunset. This is coming on May 28th. Ari Aster is executive producer on this. And man, does this movie sound fun. It says, in the misty forest of North America, a family of Sasquatches, possibly the last of their enigmatic kind, embark on an absurdist, epic, hilarious, and ultimately poignant journey over the course of 1 year. These shaggy and noble giants fight for survival as they find themselves on a collision course with the ever-changing world around them. In this, we got Jesse Eisenberg, Riley Keough, and David and Nathan Zellner are the directors behind this, and they call it the greatest Bigfoot story ever told. We've got a Sasquatch birth journal number 2 in this. And then there is a short film that was presented at Sundance called Sasquatch Filmmaking. Either way, this sounds super fun. I remember the reviews out of Sundance being pretty good.
Did you see the trailer for this?
I've not watched the trailer yet, no.
Okay, so I put it on. I was just watching trailers, sitting on my couch next to my fiance, and I was like, "What the hell is this movie?" So the trailer starts, and about 10 seconds in, it just cuts to a shot of Sasquatch doggy style, and it's not like YouTube friendly at all. And she just looked over me. She's like, "What the hell are you watching?" Like,
oh man,
no idea.
Yeah, that's how it goes, unfortunately, sometimes. Next up, this is one of the biggest announcements of the week for sure. Bad Lieutenant from 1992 coming on 4K on May 21st from Kino Lorber. This was announced a handful of months ago, I believe, or maybe it was last May, I think, actually. This one almost took a full year to come out. So on this one, of course, brand new 4K restoration of the film from the original camera negative, which is great. We get a new interview with the cinematographer Ken Kelch, and then new locations featurette on Bad Lieutenant. But the big thing, of course, is this is notorious for having an unrated cut and an NC-17 cut. I looked up the film on the Kino website, and it looks like this is going to be the unrated cut. Unfortunately, I do think it's going to be missing. There is a song that's been cut out of literally every other release of this, except I think the laser disc. And I'm doubting that we're going to be getting that full cut, but it is the first time in a long time that we're getting the unrated cut. It's going to be in great 4K. I'm sure this is going to be a remarkable disc that'll sell very, very well for them.
Yeah, this is definitely, I think, going to be one of the releases of the year for them, for sure.
Nice call out. Yeah, this sounds good, and it's Harvey Keitel in super young Harvey Keitel era. This is an incredible movie. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but super into it, and it's another Abel or Abel Ferrara film. I know that people have been into him, and we've been getting a lot of releases from Ferrara lately, so stoked on it.
Yeah, and then hopefully we can get a 4K of the Nicolas Cage Bad Lieutenant sometime soon from Kino, and you can do a double feature.
That would be nice. May 28th, in a 4K steelbook from Warner Brothers, is the 1989 Batman, and a lot of people hated this when I posted this because of the cover. I just wanted to point out, just in case you did not realize, this is literally just Warner Brothers releasing a standalone steelbook of what they did in their steelbook collection from a handful of years ago. There's nothing different. It's the same disc. It's the same steelbook. This is not something that everybody needs to complain about. If they end up doing all 4 of them, they do look really nice together. I understand you didn't need the word Batman over the bat cover on the front. It's not that big of a deal. Come on. It's just a silly steelbook.
Yeah, this is. I thought the same thing. I don't have the steelbook set that they put out.
Yeah,
but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the same exact steelbook that was in that.
Yeah. Craig says, I thought the point of steelbooks was they were supposed to have great new artwork. Well, if you ask the studios, the point of steelbooks is to have collectors buy them. That is literally the definition.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next up, well, we already talked about this, but just so you know, on top of all of the old releases of the Physical Media Advocate, there is a brand new issue that just dropped this last week. We got some great pieces in this one, including a really fun piece on Richard Kelly, really fun piece. Look at that. Really fun piece on Godzilla. There is a section recommending adult films from Vinegar Syndrome from film blogger Sam. It's a pretty great issue, if I can say so myself. Next up, one we rarely hear from, Flicker Alley. They are putting out Never Open That Door from 1952. That is coming on June 4th on Blu-ray. This is preserved by the Film Noir Foundation and UCLA Film and Television Archive. And this is going to have an introduction to the two films, because, yeah, actually there's two films on this, by Eddie Muller, who is involved in noir all the time. If I Should Die Before I Wake is going to be on this. There is a rare archival conservation scan of that third film in the trilogy. There's an audio commentary for Never Open That Door by Guido Segal, a new documentary, and Cornell Woolrich, and then a handful of some other things. This is a solid release, and if you like classic film, I'm sure you already know Flicker Alley is great at what they do. But what they are producing tends to get overlooked by a lot of people. So highly recommend checking out some of their stuff if you're into some of the classics. They are a little pricey, I will say. When they come out, they tend to hover around $35 on their website. And then when they have a sale, the sale price is like $28. So it's rough, but they're generally worth it. I mean, they put a lot of work into it. This is the kind of company that you feel good about supporting because of the work that they're doing.
So it says that it was originally a 3-part anthology. So this is one film that was in that anthology?
I believe you actually get all three.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's cool.
Let's see. Anthology Woolrich tells Never Open That Door was released separately from the 73-minute film If I Should Die Before I Wake, adapted by the screenwriter, blah, blah, blah. An exceedingly rare archival conservation scan of If I Should Die Before I Wake is featured in this release.
Okay. That's cool.
So either 2 out of the 3 or all 3. I'm not sure if that... They don't really explain that super well.
Yeah,
if anybody's seen this, let me know.
Yeah, when I read that, I was just that intrigued me.
Yes, it does. Me too. Nicomedes is asking, is Vestra on the label partnering with Eureka? No, I don't know of any label partnering with Eureka. The only thing I know is Eureka is releasing in the US through MVD Entertainment. It's just that's their distributor. So there's not really a company partnering with Eureka.
Yeah, that was cool that they announced like Grindhouse releasing, distributing for them, and then Eureka. The MVD's they're getting packed.
Yep, that's for sure. Altered Innocence actually is going through MVD as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
Speaking of MVD, July 9th, MVD is re-releasing The World of Kanako. This is from 2014. This was previously a Drafthouse Films release, the imprint of the Alamo Drafthouse, and they did nothing brand new. It's just the exact same disc coming back out. All of the Drafthouse Films releases went out of print, and this was, last I checked, this was going for like $80 to $100 on eBay. So this will immediately lower the price on that, and everybody will be able to see this. This movie is supposed to be incredible. I've not seen this one, but it looks great.
Yeah, this intrigued me when you posted this. This intrigued me.
It says it's a nonstop visual and emotional assault to the senses. I am into that immediately.
Sold. Yeah, sold.
Maybe the second biggest announcement of the week for many people that are around my age. April 30th, we are getting Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island from Warner Archive. Unfortunately, they are pairing it with the inferior sequel, Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island. But we are getting that first feature from 1998, which is really cool. I'm glad that we're getting those. We've got the full cut of this. It is a good restoration, I'm sure. Warner Archive never disappoints on that front. So more animation means I am happy.
Yeah, this is a day one for me. Absolutely, 100%.
Has to be. Next up, we are getting You're a Big Boy Now from 1966. And man, this is interesting because it's Francis Ford Coppola's UCLA Film School master thesis. How often does that happen, that we get physical media releases of a UCLA Film School master thesis. Obviously, this one is a little bit different considering it's Francis Ford Coppola with Rip Torn and Geraldine Page and a handful of others. And this even was nominated for an Academy Award, which is wild. Yeah, Geraldine Page was nominated.
Oh.
This is a big, big deal.
So is this before, because if I'm not mistaken, he did, what was Francis Ford Coppola's first? It was Dementia 13, right?
Yes,
Speaking
I
of
believe that came after this one.
Okay, after this. Okay, because I watched Dementia 13, the Vestron release not long ago, and I was like, I thought it was really interesting to watch, kind of see where his career has gone. Because before that I watched The Outsiders again, so this will be really interesting to see. This one I might be interested in.
Yep, this is a good one, and if you're going to pick this one up, you may as well pair it with The Rain People, another Coppola release. This one starring Shirley Knight, James Caan, Robert Duvall. No extras on this except for the trailer, but this is one that people have wanted for a long time. Also, may just be me, even though it's simple, this is a beautiful cover on this. Something about the simplicity of this is just perfect. I've not been able to see this one, but I definitely wanted it. Oh, Dementia 13 preceded that one. Thanks, Nicomedes.
Oh.
I could have sworn it came right after. Then we got Friendly Persuasion from 1956. This one is going to have an excerpt for Wide Wide World television series on the making of the film, the original trailer, and then, of course, this is going to star Gary Cooper and Anthony Perkins and Dorothy McGuire. I've not seen this one. This is the one that I think I saw the least amount of people talking about.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that, but that's a cool bonus feature, though.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's on there. Oh, thanks, Craig. In fact, if you are a fan of Craig's, there's all kinds of Deaf Crocodile in those Physical Media Advocate releases. Craig wrote a couple long pieces that we carried over across two issues. It's a really great piece that honestly I've gotten the most feedback on that piece probably compared to everything else in all of them. People really love that piece. Maybe the last, I may be wrong. The next one from Warner Archive, The Nun Story from 1959. This is a big deal. Audrey Hepburn. This is one of the last titles of Audrey Hepburn's. I think we have like 2 more left coming to Blu-ray eventually, or that need to come to Blu-ray still. This is a big one, one that people have wanted for quite some time. Very, very like lauded film, including was nominated for Best Picture. Lots of great names attached to this, and it's Audrey Hepburn, who's always great.
Yeah.
I already covered Scooby-Doo. Thanks, Sibner. Oh, that's right. April 30th from Warner Archive, The Mask of Fu Manchu, which means now we're getting very close to fulfilling all of this. I think they've got 1 more film or 2 more films in this era that they've been putting out ever so slowly of these horror classics. This is going to have a commentary by Greg Mink on here, and then we got some classic cartoons. Freddy the Freshman and the Queen was in the parlor. Glad we are getting this. Boris Karloff one, all the way back from 1932. Also stars Myrna Loy. That's a big name for quite a few people.
Yeah, this is a cool one. When I saw this, I was immediately intrigued. So I can't wait to check this one out.
It's Karloff. Kind of gotta.
Of course, yeah.
All right, Eureka now. We were just talking about them. June 24th in the UK and then June 25th in the US and Canada. They are giving us a Blu-ray of The Miracle Fighters. This one is with Yuen Woo Ping, and it's going to have new audio commentary by the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Jang. Also another new commentary by Mike Leader and Arna Venema. I'm always stoked when they get both of those groups basically to do a new commentary. It's so great to be spoiled like that. Interview with Yuen Woo Ping. That's an archival interview. New documentary featurette by Michael Worth on Yuen Woo Ping, and then reversible sleeve on this one with a limited edition booklet with new writing by James Oliver. Eureka! You got money by them?
I don't. This is actually this is a genre I need to get into more. I didn't grow up watching a lot of a lot of kung fu, a lot of that kind of stuff. Even like it took me until this year to really get into like Hong Kong action. It actually started with I got sent a copy of the In the Line of Duty movies, and that I watched those, and I was like, man, I need to dive into this a little bit more. So I'm kind of starting. I have some Arrow stuff that they've put out recently that I want to dive into and see if I can kind of this becomes a genre I can become, more into.
Well, good luck, because fans of martial arts have been eating well over the last couple of years. If
Oh
you
yeah,
if you get into it, there is every title under the sun to choose from.
yeah.
Next up is the Red Peony Gambler 1 through 3. This is from 1982, coming on June 17th in the UK only on Blu-ray from Eureka. This is going to have a slipcover, and it will have a new audio commentary on all three films. Tony Raines is speaking on this new interview with him. Then there's trailers and a collector's booklet with new writing on this one. I've never seen any of these. I saw a handful of good comments about this one, so curious to check this out. Definitely want to look at some reviews first. And then out of nowhere, go ahead.
I saw it said it was inspired. It inspired, I guess, Quentin Tarantino for Kill Bill.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is one of the big ones.
Okay, interesting.
And then out of nowhere, they announced a U.S. and Canada exclusive. So they're not releasing this in the U.K., which made some people really pissed off for fans of Eureka. They're releasing Beast Fighter, which includes Karate Bullfighter and Karate Bear Fighter. These are coming on the 25th of June in the U.S. and Canada. These are both from 1975, both starring Sonny Chiba. If I had to guess, I'm willing to bet that both of these have animal scenes that the UK would not allow released in the UK. So that's probably why it's not coming out.
Yeah, I mean, look at The Abyss.
Exactly.
Yep.
This one is going to have a new commentary on both movies by Mike Leader and Arna Venema. And then we got a new video essay by Jonathan Clements on this, and then a booklet with new writing by Eddie Falvey. For fans of Sonny Chiba, I'm glad this is coming out. This is a big deal. Eureka doing exclusives for the US, though. That's kind of a surprising thing, because they could have a lot of titles considering what they've been putting out over the last couple of years.
Excuse my ignorance to the genre, but I think this was one of the titles I picked up, the Executioner collection from Arrow. I think that's Sonny Chiba, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so that's going to be my first foray into some Sonny Chiba, because I picked that up during the last Barnes & Noble sale. So,
and if you're into it, I believe there are 1 or 2 Sonny Chiba collections from Shout as well.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's quite a bit from Sonny Chiba out there. Then Kino announced May 21st they are re-releasing their copy of Revenge of the Ninja from 1983. This will have a new audio commentary with, once again, Mike Leader and Arna Venema. This is another one of their, hey, we realized that old release sucked, and so we're doing it a little bit better. They are taking their 2015 disc and coding it at a higher bit rate and putting it on a BD50 disc, and it will have a little bit better presentation, of course, and then a new audio commentary. It also has English subs, which that first one didn't. So this is an okay upgrade. I know there's a lot of people that were begging for a 4K release, but I don't even think this will probably ever get a 4K scan. So unfortunately, this is probably going to be the best we get for at least another handful of years.
Props to them for at least adding a new commentary.
Yeah, I think in this day and age, if you're going to just re-release the same film on the same format, you got to do something new for sure.
Yeah.
A handful of more releases came out this afternoon. May 28th, Vertical Entertainment is putting out The Bricklayer from Rennie Harlan, starring Aaron Eckhart. 2 names I never expected to say in the exact same sentence. Glad this is coming out. I've not seen this. I've not heard any reviews or anything. This is from last year. I did put a trailer on here. It looks very modern action cliche type film, unfortunately. But yeah, this is odd. Aaron Eckhart was like one of the most desired actors in Hollywood for a handful of years, and now he is acting in a Rennie Harlan film in 2023 called The Bricklayer. Yeah.
Just wait until you hear Rennie Harlan directing a Strangers trilogy.
That's that really I shocking. Understand a little bit more. Funny enough.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Strangers Chapter 2, Strange Harder.
Even more strange. Uh, look at that tagline. The tagline is "Some secrets are deadly." Come on.
Yes.
Next, Film Movement is putting out Hotel from 2004 in a 20th edition, 20th anniversary edition Blu-ray release on June 25th. This movie does not look terrible. This movie looks fantastic. The trailer for this is linked. If you've not checked it out, please go check it out. Not seen this. Also not sure if this is going to come as an OCN partner label release, since Film Movement is now partnered with them. It could, but also it very well could just be a standard on their site, unfortunately. This movie does, though, look really, really well done. The acting looks incredible. I'm most likely getting this one as soon as possible because it sounds and looks like a stupendously made movie.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and I was immediately interested. So I can't wait to check this one out.
Good. Next up, only a couple left, I think. Drive Away Dolls. This is coming on June 17th in the UK on Blu-ray. This is a brand new movie from Ethan Coen. And it is coming around that time in the US as well. You can already pre-order in the US. But the UK is getting quite a different release. They're getting a Blu-ray and DVD double feature, rigid slipcase, 3 theatrical postcards, and a 32-page booklet. And nothing like that will happen in the US, I'm sure. So, yeah, I wish they would. Unfortunately, this probably won't get picked up by Orbit or anybody like that. If you want it, you're probably going to have to import from Amazon.
Yeah, this is I actually liked the trailer for this. So I was intrigued, but I just wish the US would get cool stuff like this, man. Like when they did I forget when they did Chucky season 1 and 2 and they released the Good Guy editions.
Mm-hmm.
I missed out on importing those, but those I was like, dude, that's 10 times cooler than what we got here.
So much better.
Cooler. Yeah, jealous.
Finally, for this week, we are ending on a June 11th release from Paramount of South Park joining the Panderverse. My big question, I haven't watched South Park in a very, very long time. Isn't this only like the length of an episode? Or maybe at most like 45 minutes? How is this getting a standalone Blu-ray release instead of just going in the season collection?
Are people still waiting on a release of the movie? Has that come out on Blu-ray yet? The South Park, the bigger, longer, whatever. I'm not a South Park fan, so I don't know what that.
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Tony says it's only 48 minutes.
48 minutes.
Why is this a standalone release? It should be with the season. I believe we are getting the film from Paramount this year in 4K, which is wild. Yes, it was a special on Paramount Plus. But also, wasn't there another special around this season as well? Couldn't you put them both together? It's 48 minutes. I don't know. Paramount does weird things. I don't know.
Is there anybody out there who owns every season of South Park and revisits those ever? Does anybody do that?
I mean, I have. I've got the first, I think it's the first 20 seasons on Blu-ray.
That's crazy. It's like The Simpsons. It's like I used to, back when I started collecting, I was getting DVDs. I bought like I went to a pawn shop and they had like the first like 13 seasons of The Simpsons, and I bought them. And then I was like, I'm never gonna watch these again, probably ever. So I ended up giving them back to the same pawn shop.
Tony in Australia says, I have all 26 seasons and specials so far.
Nice.
And then Eric says, I have the first movie on Blu-ray. That's it. But I do enjoy the early seasons. Yeah, the early seasons are where it was at, for sure. After we go over the announcements, we go over what is coming out next week, just in case you forgot. It is the last week of the month, so it's going to show all of the Vinegar Syndrome and OCN things. Those are already shipping for most people. Next week, we got To Die For from Criterion in 4K. Primal Fear 4K from Paramount. The Iron Claw from A24. Did you watch that one yet, Iron Claw?
No, I pre-ordered it, so I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes in.
Damn good movie. The Amelie Steelbook, again, this is a Blu-ray, not a 4K. Burial Ground 4K from Severin. Did you watch that one yet?
Yeah. Great transfer on that one. That one's totally worth it.
I knew the answer. I was trying to get you to wax poetic. Yeah, that movie. Yeah. That movie is wild, and I'm glad they gave it a 4K. Next week we get They Drive by Night from Warner Archive. The Cult Epic's release of All Ladies Do It 4K from Tinto Brass is finally getting released. Berserk, the complete series from Discotheque, Paint Your Wagon 4K from Kino Lorber, if you're into that. Wednesday, the complete first season. Three Godfathers from Warner Archive. When Evil Lurks from RLJE, eager for that one. A little movie called Bubble Bath from, is it pronounced Deaf Crocodile, I think? The Bounty Hunter trilogy from Radiance will be available for everybody, even though you've already been able to buy that on Orbit and everything. Stand and Deliver from Warner Archive. That's a big one. North Dallas 44K from Kino. Money Talks from Warner Archive. Night of the Blood Monster, a.k.a. The Bloody Judge, coming in 4K from Blue Underground. We've got a handful of others. Patrick 4K, I think, is finally coming out from Indicator. The Batwoman from Indicator as well. Snapshot 4K from Indicator as well. Inspector Wears Skirts 2 that I just showed everybody. That's coming out. The Boob and Why Be Good double feature from Warner Archive. I know people are long wanting that one. The Panther Women double pack. The Panther Women is a digipack release from Indicator. Santo versus the Riders of Terror. Lots coming out. Saint Omer, The Little Drummer Girl from Warner Archive. Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema, number 18. 18. Jesus. Let's see. I think that was about it for all the big ones. Unless you're really dying to see Polar Rescue with Donnie Yen from Well Go USA. Yeah. I think we are scraping the bottom of this here barrel. Annie coming out next week that you are eager to have or already picked up and love.
So I have One Evil Lurks coming in because I feel like it's been forever since that came out. I feel like it's been a year, but and then I have All Ladies Do It to continue my Tinto Brass collection. I got that coming in as well.
Nice. Yeah, I did the Kickstarter for that Tinto Brass and eager to see that book that they do.
Yeah.
More Mara Tierney coming to Blu-ray is always a great thing. Amen to that. Watched The Abyss last night. If there was ever a reason to get a 7.1 setup, it's that one, Ryan. Looks and sounds amazing. I know it's my next big purchase, I promise. Saw someone post an image of Going South on Twitter. Why is it oversized? Well, Cinematograph is doing that for all of their releases. It's an oversized media book. It's quite a bit larger. It's pretty damn big, unfortunately. And then, of course, the poignant, what an expensive hobby. And Jimmy the Lift just says, yes.
Yeah, expensive hobby is not the word, not the phrase to explain it. I'm broke all the time.
Same. Okay, so like we said at the top, tonight we are discussing bonus features, why we like them, what makes a good one, some of these discs that are extra stacked, and now the question is, why do you like bonus features, and what do you look for in bonus features?
So, I feel like for me, I've always been infatuated with the making of things. You know what I mean? That's always it. And I feel like I guess our generation of collecting with DVDs, we were spoiled with them because it was rare. I felt like most of the DVDs that I owned had pretty good bonus features for the most part. So when I watched the movie, I would always be living in that world of the film, so I wanted to stay in it. So I would just watch bonus features, and sometimes there were actually some releases where I would watch the bonus features more than the movie because of just weird infatuations with things. Yep. So when I started really kind of wanting to learn more and understanding more, that's one of the things when I sit down and I look at a release and I want to buy it, the first list I go to is bonus features, and a lot of times that's a good selling point for me. So
yeah, especially nowadays when you're seeing releases that are anywhere from $30 for a standard release on release day up to, I mean, some of these like the Dawn of the Dead from Second Sight. I think that was still the most expensive single film release I've ever bought. It was like $112, I think, for one movie.
I think it was it was like $112. Yeah.
Something like that. And if it had no bonus features, there's no way I could ever justify paying that much for a single movie, of course. But when you look at what some of these releases are getting, the movie sometimes is the bonus feature for me, and everything else that we're
Mhm.
getting on that disc is the reason why I want it. So the fact that some of these labels are able to go literally to the ends of the earth to track down filmmakers, to track down people that are long thought dead in some cases, or to get people
Mhm.
that are unable to, um, they don't travel for interviews. So you find somebody like Eugenio Ercolani who's on the ground in Italy and can go interview everybody because he's there.
Mhm.
The stuff that we get on some of these discs is literally a miracle. And I've said it many
Yeah.
times on this channel before, but there are two big things that I think is super important about these bonus features. One is these are literally like film school in a box. For a
Mhm.
lot of us, I can't afford to suddenly drop everything and go to UCLA for 4 years and pay $120,000 in tuition every year to find out why somebody did a certain shot in the third year of my program. But at that point, you may as well just go and listen to a lot of audio commentaries. So many of these
Mhm.
directors saying everything why we made a choice, sometimes for like 20 minutes about one shot. And the fact that you can get that much detail, it's a gift. It's literally, and you paid like $20 for the disc. And the fact that you can look
Mhm.
at that and go, damn, okay, so that's why this is impressive. That's when this gets special for me. The other big thing,
Yes.
sorry, before you go, one thing, we're losing all kinds of these filmmakers that are at that verge of dying. Without these
Mhm.
special features, we lose them, their voices, their presence, their stories, everything about those as well. So those are the two main reasons that I love these. Go right ahead.
And well, a lot of time too, they are bonus features. They're companions for the most part. If they're done right, it's a companion to the movie.
Yep.
And a lot of time, there's so many times when I finish a movie and I don't really know how to. I feel like we live in such a weird world of like, oh, we watch a movie and then you're on Letterbox and you're rating it, or you write up your review instantly because everybody wants everything so fast. Um, so I feel like when you watch a movie, sometimes I think a lot of times you come out of it, you don't really know how to feel exactly, and then sometimes I start watching bonus features and I begin to it begins to kind of like paint a new picture in my head or a new understanding of the movie. And a lot of times I might come out of a movie like lukewarm and then I watch the bonus features and I'm like, oh, I never even thought about it in this
Right.
perspective. I mean, even like the fact that now you can go on YouTube and actually watch directors break down certain scenes from their movies on mainstream YouTube channels. One of them was Martin Scorsese breaking down scenes from Taxi Driver and really talking about, hey, what the scene, I can't remember what the context of the scene was, but the scene where he's on the phone and the camera pans away
Yep.
to the hallway and just sits for 30 seconds. And then hearing him break that down and talk about the purpose. The purpose was just like, hey, how can we increase the anxiety and oh, we're just going to move this over and nothing happens, or we're going to move it back. I didn't. When I watched the movie, I was just like, that's a weird move, but made me feel something. So to hear him break that down, it opened my eyes to something new. And now when I watch the movie, I kind of look at it in a little bit of a different way, and that's what
Right.
good bonus features do for me, for the most part.
What is your favorite type of bonus feature? Because obviously nowadays we've got audio commentaries, visual essays, written essays, old archival interviews, brand new interviews. We've got location footage where stuff was shot.
Mhm.
There's a handful of other things, obviously, that you can have on these too. But is there one that always gets you excited more than others?
So new documentaries about making of, which Vinegar Syndrome they do all the time. It's great. When I pick up a release and I see like a new feature length making of, I get really really excited. Audio commentaries are such a hit or miss for me because the amount of times I feel like, all right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to rewatch the movie, and sometimes you watch an audio commentary and you're like, that was nothing. I got no you know information from that whatsoever. So I feel like they're hit or miss to me at least. But yeah, brand new making of and then even documentaries that are, and there's a couple in some of the titles we'll talk about. But even if they can attach a documentary that might not have been made specifically for the film, but it's on a topic of the movie, that's also a really really like a selling point for me.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I think nowadays, I hate to have this answer, but I used to love audio commentaries, but nowadays it is so hard to sit down and listen to a 2 hour bonus feature for a film that I just watched a 2 hour bonus film of. So nowadays, like I will happily finish a movie and watch a visual essay or two, especially if
Mhm.
they're 15 minutes each or something like that, that gives context or additional information. Love that stuff, but everything else on the disc, like commentaries are great, but it takes a special movie to make me really give that time to it right now. I can't wait to go listen to all these eventually, like when I retire, but no way that's happening anytime soon, that's for sure.
I feel like sometimes I go the commentary route if I want to rewatch a movie I've seen a bunch of times that I don't really need to um, like fully pay attention to. Like I'll throw on a
Right.
documentary for something, or I mean, a commentary for something I've seen 1,000 times just to give some new context into it. But then again, sometimes you throw on a commentary and you can get to the end and you're like, okay, I didn't learn a single. They weren't even talking about anything that was happening on screen at the moment the whole entire time, and I didn't learn anything new. So, like I said, that's why that's a lot of time to invest to dive into them.
Yeah, and I've worked on a bunch of commentaries already. They are great informational pieces. I love listening to them. I have not been able to listen to as many as I want recently, unfortunately. But man, visual essays are my jam, and these documentaries that they make are incredible. I There's been so many documentaries that are even like short form documentaries, like a 15-minute. Here's everything you need to know about this director, leading into here's an hour and a half on a full genre. And there's one of
Mhm.
these that the reason I chose this is because of bonus documentary on the disc, and it is such an incredible thing to watch a film and then immediately go discover everything else about it, that you could ever want to know. Like these releases are astonishing. So the five I chose tonight specifically are boutique labels. I wanted to go away from the studio ones. There are some great studio releases. Not saying there aren't, but these are where it gets special for me. And then my big thing, I don't know if you did the same thing. I made the rule for myself that I was not going to choose two from the same label. So I had to go
Mm.
back and break that up to see what I really wanted to focus on from each of those labels. I've gotten texted multiple times, and my dear partner Will wants me to say he can't post right now for some reason, but he says he texted me saying, "What the fuck? My commentaries are the best." That is Will. That is exactly Will. Yes.
Well, so when I was picking this, because actually for the five are studio releases, one of the things that I was trying to think about were because two of these were older. I guess you could say older releases that really influenced me in some crazy way. It's really tough, man, because like when you have a lot more than I do, but I have this wall behind me,
Yep.
and there's times when like I might pick these five now, and then tomorrow morning I might be like, shit, like I completely forgot about even now like I'm watching the Coffin Joe set from Arrow, and those movies there's like no information
Right.
out on. There's no way for them to like find much new. So each disc is companion usually with a visual essay. And then one of the discs I just watched had like an hour and 15-minute interview with Stephen Thrower that I just threw on and did some dishes. You know what I mean? On. So I can enjoy a wide variety as long as it's on a topic that I'm interested in. You know what I mean?
Totally get it. Yeah. Lots of comments saying that people rarely listen to them right after watching the movie. Totally get it.
Mhm.
I can't really do that much anymore, but I used to. I used to try to do it that way. I could just ingest everything all at once. It's just a lot. It really is. But if you want a lot, some of these releases will deliver a lot. So let's get into it. What is your first pick for one of these titles?
All right. So I'm going to go. Let me pick from my little stack here. So, first off, from Vinegar Syndrome from Censor, which, first of all, this is such an underseen movie, in my opinion. But on here, because the plot of Censor, it's around the video nasties in that era, which I think most people coming across this movie probably won't have too much knowledge of, considering it's a newer film. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they included the Ban the Sadist Videos documentary on this disc, which is such an incredible addition because I have the Severin release of House on Straw Hill that has the DVD on
Yep.
it. And I think in that release, more people. I mean, if you're sitting down and you're watching House on Straw Hill, you probably know what a video nasty is. You probably don't need that, but it's releases like these where yeah, there's some behind the scenes, but including that in brings a whole new understanding of this film and a whole new understanding of the context of what's being shown in here. And that's why I was saying including documentaries that are related or relative to the content of the movie is the way to do it, because that Ban the Sadist Videos documentary is awesome. And as somebody who only really started diving into video nasties within the last 5 years, that documentary has kind of become like a go-to source for me over the last couple of years. So my first pick was this incredible release of Censor.
Craig doesn't know what a video nasty is. Craig from Deaf Crocodile, you want to explain what a video nasty is?
They were, it's kind of hard to explain what a video nasty is. They were I guess banned films.
Oh, they were absolutely banned.
And in Europe at a time. And it's funny because when you actually watch them now, because it happened through the 80s, and when you watch a lot of them now, they're pretty tamed as to like today's standards. You know what I mean? You watch some of them and you're like, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. But the really crazy thing about the video nasties is there's multiple lists. And it's kind of like, the main list is your extreme ones, and then it kind of gets into stuff that I think is a little more tame. And then you have, I think Section 3 is pretty much like PG for the most part, it feels like. But it's really interesting because it was a pretty big political move for the government at that time. And what's even more interesting was like being a video store owner, and they were still renting these VHS tapes of banned video nasties out from like kind of like a drug deal. They would like take cases or VHS cases of films that they were legally allowed to rent out, and you'd have to go to the counter and have some code word or whatever you would say to rent these, and you would get like raided by whatever the European equivalent of the FBI is.
Literally, yeah. Lots of people went to jail over this.
Yeah, over renting. Over renting out Driller Killer.
What a good first example to mention too. One that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, Driller. But then you have like other, like you have Cannibal Holocaust. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty extreme variety of films to go through. But it is nice now because I think we have access to most of them. There's still some that are making their way out, but for the most part, we have access to pretty much all of them. I think at this point now, in some capacity.
Yes, I think there's one or two where elements are literally gone, so we will never be able to get like a good Blu-ray or 4K release. But yeah, you can. I believe you can see all of them now. But we're at the point where the information on these is all out there. Obviously, the internet exists. There's even a couple of, I don't know if they're from the banned list, but there's still some stuff that's literally still banned in the UK because of animal issues or what have you. But on top of all that, I wanted to go back to the release. So yes, that documentary is in there, but for those that are fans of modern physical media, one really cool thing, this is a Vinegar Syndrome release, and they got David Gregory from Severin, who is maybe the biggest fan of video nasties, who he's wanted to buy all of them on VHS, and he's gotten really damn close. He's on this disc going over his love for video nasties and what he is able to share. It's good information, but the biggest thing is his passion. It is palpable in that conversation, and not to deflate this release that you're sharing, but the funny thing is they didn't even include the whole featurette. If you want the whole featurette from Censor with David Gregory and all the other stuff they wanted with it, go get the second site release of Censor. It has even more bonus features than this one. It is wild what they've been able to do with this film. It gets a lot of love. Please go check it out. Honestly, Censor wasn't my favorite movie. I thought the ending was kind of compared to the rest of the movie. Yeah. The bonus features alone, though, for fans of movies and for fans of physical media, is mind-blowing and worth it. Absolutely something that everybody who's into this, you should absolutely know everything about these titles. If you're even remotely interested, you'll gain a lot of knowledge from them.
Dude, and there's so many. Like, I went on a little like, what did I watched like last year off of the video net. I watched a documentary. Oh, it was Axe. I bought the Axe and Kidnapped Coed double pack from Severin, and I remember watching that and falling in love with that movie. A movie that I never would have even, you know,
Right.
probably heard of if I had not watched the documentary. So it's definitely worth checking. I mean, it's super cool to just have that on a solid release. So
Absolutely. I just mentioned Second Sight, so I'm gonna show one from Second Sight. This is my pick because this movie, I mean, we don't have a release of it in the US. We maybe never will because of the idiot that controls it. I mentioned I mentioned the big one earlier, Dawn of the Dead, obviously, but the bigger one for me is George A. Romero's Martin. The fact that we got this in a stupendous 4K release from Second Sight in this glorious package with this giant booklet. You can see how thick that thing is. The special features on this. So we have the original audio commentary by George A. Romero, John Amplas, and Tom Savini. There is another audio commentary by George A. Romero and Richard Rubinstein and Tom Savini, Michael Gornick and Donald Rubinstein, but also a new commentary with Kat Ellinger, another new audio commentary by Travis Crawford. So this thing has 4 commentaries. Then on top of that, we have a new feature-length documentary, like you said, including a location tour for the filming of this. There's a new interview with the composer, Donald Rubinstein, on this, a short film by Tony Bubba on this, and then a Making Martin recounting archival featurette. That is ridiculous. And then the book, of course, just adds all that more context. This release is like a miracle release of sorts because of how long it took to find the elements for this, to get them restored properly, to get it out in a way that everybody was happy with. And it's from a master of horror that if you half-ass a release from George A. Romero, people will turn on your label, literally.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So
yeah.
the fact that we got this, and it's something that people still complained about, and somehow has been overlooked over the last year, this deserves so much more attention than it got. I know it got overshadowed because Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out right around it, which, yes, it's a great release, but you have 412 other releases of Texas Chainsaw to compare it to. This was the winner from Second Sight from last year for me. I really hope people look at this if you haven't. It's a Romero classic. It's one that's underseen in his catalog, which it's dumb. This movie's amazing and absolutely deserving of everybody's time. I could talk about Martin for the next 40 minutes, but I'll get off my soapbox.
Dude, I can't believe so many people complain that it didn't have the 3-hour, the lost cut, of it. I think it's what, 3 hours is supposed to be
something
the
like
Martin
that.
lost
Yeah.
cut. Yeah, so many people still had the audacity to complain. Now, I want to ask you, as such a big fan of Martin, would you want the 3-hour? I mean, I know we would want the 3-hour cut, but would you be interested in watching the full 3-hour cut of
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd watch literally anything, to be honest. But yeah, I'd certainly want to see it. I'd love to see it restored. Likely, though, we never will. And to come to terms with that and just say, well, if we never will, let's get everything that we possibly can then. We did. This release is incredible. And when you look at the way that I think in the description below, I think the way that I explain this is our favorite extra packages. When you look at this as a package, the fact that there are 4 audio commentaries, 2 of them brand new, 2 of them featuring George A. Romero himself, a new visual essay, a new documentary, a giant book, and all of these archival features. What the fuck else could we possibly want for this? Like, there's nothing here to complain about.
Yeah, I don't know how people. I'm skewing away to grab something else to add into the stack, but dude, and when you look at, I was just reading the other day. I picked up the Nightmare USA book by Stephen Thrower, and on one of the first couple pages, he had a screen grab from Martin in there, and I looked at I couldn't even tell. It was from right in the beginning of the train scene, and I'm looking at that photo. I'm like, dude, there's no way this movie looked this bad because I had never seen Martin before I picked up that 4K.
Right.
So I then went on YouTube and I'm looking up clips of dude, that restoration is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible, man. So let's see. I saw somebody mention this earlier, so I figured I would do it. I'm going to show off a studio release, and pretty much I think I can sum up favorite bonus features by just saying Peter Jackson.
Mm.
Because between King Kong and Lord of the Rings, holy shit, does this guy invest so much time into, you know, I was thinking about it earlier because I was on a walk earlier with my dog, and I was kind of like thinking about this conversation and thinking about um, like trying to put together in my head pretty much how to correlate my thoughts on everything that I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
And you obviously you think about all the effort put into the film, but like you look at Peter Jackson releases and you're like, look at the goddamn effort that went into putting together the like
Right.
hours. And I think most of the time the bonus features are just as long as his movies,
If not longer, which is wild because the
if
movies are long.
yeah. So I haven't upgraded Lord of the Rings to 4K. I still have the Blu-rays, and they still have I forget what this series is called, but each release has 2 DVD discs just dedicated to a making of. But yeah, King Kong, I forget how long. I think it's like 3 hours, the behind the scenes on this, but it doesn't miss a beat, man. It goes through everything, and it's a pretty exhausting experience to like sit there and watch, a standard quality behind the scenes mammoth of a documentary. But if you're into film, god damn, is it insightful, man. Like seriously, and especially when you're young, if you're young and you're learning about movies, you watch something like that and it just leaves an impact. I mean, it did on me with a release I'm going to talk about in a little while.
King Kong is a big one for Jackson too because it was his passion. If I remember right, I think when he was like 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that, he made his own King Kong movie, and
Mm-hmm.
that set up the wonderful story that we were able to see realized in 2005. And so to see somebody that's been passionate about one title for so long finally make it and then just be able to sit and be giddy explaining everything that happened during that movie, that I'm a big champion of that movie as well because everybody, I understand going crazy over Lord of the Rings. They're monumental
Mm.
achievements. Can't argue with that. But King Kong being so personal for him, that to me was the one that was more interesting to see released, I think. And don't shoot me, but it's a wild take for somebody that has done so many different genres and styles of film and innovated so many different literally just like tools. Literally, what he's done has
Mm.
changed film forever. And the fact that it's a movie that came out that he loved since he was like barely a child, it's impressive to see that realized so many years later for him.
Yeah, and I mean the effort put in. I watched it. I don't know, about a month or so ago, and I'm like, this holds up so goddamn well. Like I had watched it not long after I watched. What did I watch? I think I watched the first Jurassic World, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I pick all of the CGI in 2005 King Kongs over
Right.
most things, or King Kong over most things that are coming out today. It just holds up, and you can see the love for the source material. Like it's such a great movie, man. I love that movie to death.
I agree. I was going to say a different one next, but now that it's been called out in the comments, I kind of want to talk about this one. Let me talk about one of my favorites, Out of the
Mm-hmm.
Blue. This is the Severin release of Out of the Blue. BFI also put this out in the UK. Both of the discs are incredible. You might recognize either one of the arts that Severin did. This is a 4K disc of a giantly impressive movie, directed by Dennis Hopper. This won a shit ton of awards at last year's Shelf Shock Rewind because this release is so good. Special features on this: we got an audio commentary that's archival, of course, with Dennis Hopper, with Paul Lewis and the distributor John Allen Simon. We've got an audio commentary with Kate Renenbaum. It's hard to read. I'm sorry, Renenbaum. Another audio commentary with Kat Ellinger. There is a 40th anniversary 4K restoration US premiere with everybody that was behind this restoration and a theatrical trailer, and that's just on the 4K disc. On the Blu-ray discs, we've got a 1984 Dennis Hopper interview Remembering Linda Mann's visual essay, there is a video essay by Amanda Reyes and Chris O'Neill that's called Subverting Normality, which is incredible. That won an award last year at the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. There's a Vancouver on-screen and out of the blue called Terminal City Blues. There's a short film by Leonard DeCure on this. There's a Jack Nicholson radio spot, and that's all on one disc. And then there's another disc, Remembering Out of the Blue, 11 new cast and crew interviews, 6 new interviews with Hopper's friends and colleagues, including Ethan Hawke, Richard Linklater, Philip Mora, and Julian Schnabel. There's Alex Cox recalling Out of the Blue, Brian Cox on acting, and Dennis Hopper, and then AFI Q&A with 4K restoration producers behind this. This release is stacked beyond belief. It's an incredible film, and it's one of those things that when you see the love that this movie is getting 40 years after it came out and was arguably forgotten for many of those years, this is a package that you sit down with and immerse yourself in after you watch the movie, which in itself is powerful and sad and weird and dark, and everything about this delivers because the context behind this film is wild. Dennis Hopper obviously is a character, so everybody's got crazy stories about Hopper, but everything about this has been, touted for the last year and a half, so I won't say too much more, but this is like an all-timer physical media release, in my opinion. It has literally everything you could ask for on it, and on top of that, it's a remarkable restoration. The 4K on this is beautiful. I saw it on the big screen this last year, and seeing it in a room with there was probably 30 other people there. I couldn't tell how many had seen it before, but I'm thinking it's about half and half. And the half that had seen it before, knowing the emotional beats that were coming, you could feel the air get sucked out of the room before those happened. But the other thing, feeling those emotional beats land for the other half that had never seen it was powerful. The silence after the movie was over, with everybody just going, whew, after that final scene was one of the best moments I've had in a theater in the last couple of years. This is one of my favorites. Out of the blue, I probably shouldn't say anything else. We'll be here all night.
So here's a question. When you sit down, you finish a movie, you're like, all right, going to dive into the bonus features. Do you, when you go to the main menu, you click on bonus, do you just go down the line, or do you pick and choose and then kind of go from there?
It depends on the night, and it depends on the disc. If I'm exhausted, I won't be able to do anything, obviously. But if I'm most of the time, and hopefully she's not watching right now, most of the time I'm okay still, and my wife is now asleep. So it's like, well, I may as well just keep watching. We're not doing anything else. So I'll put on at least a couple of the visual essays. And then following that, if it's a disc like this is like a week-long excursion, because no matter what you do, I mean, I've got 2 kids. There's no way I can watch this in one day. This is like a 4-day event. It sometimes it gets left in the player for a couple of weeks. There's sometimes that it will be something that I if I got a light day of work, which isn't very common, I'll try to put that on where I can hear something. But it's an excursion, that's for sure.
Yeah. I was just curious because sometimes I sit down to watch bonus features and I'm like, I feel bad skipping around. Other times I don't. Sometimes it's like, because I have some pretty bad like OCD when it comes to wanting to finish things, you know what I mean, 100%. So I was just curious because I was like, I wonder if anybody else is psychotic like I am when it comes to
I try to be, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I actually I swapped out one of them because I couldn't. Speaking of Shell Shock and speaking of Severin, if you want to talk about bonus features and packaging and presentation, I don't think in the last couple of years it gets any more loaded than This Is a Black Emanuel set. Dude, this release is so overwhelming. I don't even know. I bought this a couple of months ago, and I was like, I'm just going to dive in. So I started with the Bible, which is 365 pages, I think.
Should you read one every day for a year?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's like 365 pages. So I started with this, and then I was like, yeah, I'll just go in order. And every single disc is just like packed out. Interviews, anything that you could possibly ask for, and especially where I didn't know much about the history of Black Emanuel.
Right.
Especially for somebody who was like, I'm going to go through this disc by disc and watch this in the order that it's been set up for in here. It's so interesting. And the thing I love about Severance too is that they're not afraid to put out bonus features that aren't the highest quality per se. Because I know there's an interview in here with Laura Gemser that's where like the audio is it got messed up. They explained it in the podcast. Something happened with the audio. The audio got really screwed up. They didn't know until after the interview, or it's an old interview and there was just no restoration possibility. Right. But the fact that they still just threw it in there, I learned so much, even if it was in awful quality. But so overwhelming. I mean, there's 40 plus hours of special features in this. Yeah. So if you want to talk about a week long excursion, this is like a disc a week. So yeah. I couldn't pass this one up in talking about bonus features, man.
So like I mentioned with Out of the Blue, I think the Black Emmanuel box is going to go down as one of the top 10 physical media releases of all time. It is that level of quality. Unfortunately, it is a subject that not a lot of people love, so I don't think it will ever garner the appreciation and support that it probably should. The big thing here is the films that are in that box set need, like they crave and desire a lot of context. Thankfully, Severin is all about that. Behind the scenes, after having worked with them on a couple projects already, they are all about the educational aspect. Not a lot of like jokes. They don't want if you were going to do a commentary for Cemetery Man, they don't want you to be yucking it up the whole time or anything. This is something where they want you to respect these releases. And some of the features on the set that I've started to dabble into, it's impressive what they've got. It's impressive the amount of time and energy that went into it. And even just saying 40 plus hours of special features, sure, that sounds like a lot. You still don't get it until you pop one in and actually see how much went into it. You do not get what is actually on these discs until you are in there and let it wash over you. It is crazy.
And you got to think too, 90% of it is brand new. Like there's not a lot of old stuff out about these movies. There's not. So you watch these visual essays and it's absolutely insane the amount of work that just goes, even the book, like the book is incredible. It's insane. And yeah, there is, I just saw Celeste mention like the animal violence. When it comes to that kind of stuff, it's all about like, to me, I'm a big fan of Cannibal Holocaust, and I know not a ton of people are. And I'm very happy that there is a PETA cutout that allows me to watch that movie without the other stuff. And I get that was a trend in Italian horror, which is why I tend to not love Cannibal Ferox. I forget which way it said. Why I don't appreciate that one like I do Holocaust, because when I was young and I first watched Cannibal Holocaust, it had, I think I got it off like LimeWire or something. Like it was like Pirates, or it was like one of the, one of those. And it was perfectly fitting for that movie because it felt like something that I illegally downloaded on the internet. But I remember watching it and not feeling like I was always upset about what's happening on screen to animals. I'm an animal lover. I have my dog tattooed on me, Yeah. But the when you look at like, oh, they were actually filming in, the Amazon, and the animal killings weren't out of like a cruelty. It was out of food, and they just happened to film it and add it in and make it part of the whole entire experience. It does make it different for me. And there are times when it's senseless that I don't agree with, but I also understand that at that time there's, that was a thing. And, it is what it is. I don't have to enjoy that part, but everything else I can, I could try to enjoy.
Yeah, and there's stuff about the animal violence and some of the extras as well. So there's literally everything that you can want in this box set. It is intense. And then Severin is great with their soundtrack CDs. Severin is great with shorts when they can get them. That doesn't happen as often, but they do get them. Severin's another one that they will go out of their out of their way to get brand new interviews that are mind blowing. Like the fact that the Black Friday slate from them, that we got all these Michele Soavi titles with brand new interviews with like everyone imaginable is shocking. It is a masterpiece from them. Every time that Severin puts something out like that, it is impressive. And their box sets, like I look at their box sets as the Bible on whatever subject it is. So I really hope every label out there pays attention to what they're doing and tries to live up to those standards. Because
Yeah, and I love the crossover too. Like, I feel like a lot of people, you look at all the labels, and some people think competition, they think this, but you have on their February releases, Hotspur and the Scavengers, or I think it was Hotspur. You have what's his name from Vinegar Syndrome is on the commentary.
Joe Rubin, yeah.
For that, you have Joe Rubin's on it. Obviously, we just talked about David Gregory on a Vinegar Syndrome release. So there's a lot of really good crossover. And the thing with Severin that I appreciate, and they got an interview. Didn't they get an interview for Burial Ground with what's his name?
Yeah.
He was. I think it helped. 88 Films kind of like helped make that happen for them. But it was like one of the first things he's ever done for that film in a long time.
Same with for Cemetery Man, they got Rupert Everett for the first time and for like forever on that movie.
Yeah, they talked about how difficult it was to get him in the podcast before the release came out. So that was one of the first bonus features I jumped to after I watched Cemetery Man. So that was an awesome one.
Well, you mentioned Vinegar Syndrome, so I should jump probably to my pick from them. And anybody that's been watching Vinegar Syndrome for years, if you hear we're talking about great extras packages, I really hope you go to this one in your mind first, because this movie is not great. But the extras package in this is better than great. It's better than the movie. I need to take it out of this little protector thing so I can read the back of it, because there's so much on it. However, my pick from Vinegar Syndrome is Spookies. The Spookies release from Vinegar Syndrome is so damn good. So this is, first off, a brand new 4K restoration. There is a feature-length making of documentary, including a commentary track with documentary co-directors on this, Michael Gingold and Glenn Baisley. Then the bigger thing for me, Vipco, The Untold Story. This is another feature-length documentary on the notorious UK home video label, including extended interviews footage with Michael Lee, who is the founder of Vipco, and a trailer. Those are the shining stars of this release. But then on top of that, you also have a 2015 Alamo Drafthouse screening introductions with Spooky's director. You got a Q&A from a 2015 Hudson Horror Show screening. You've got archival locations featurette, pinreel outtakes and bloopers, behind the scenes still gallery, trailer, everything. Like, this release is like what put Vinegar Syndrome on the map for a lot of people, is stuff that felt like this. Everything they could find, they put it together. They made incredible documentaries. They got in contact with everybody for a film that a lot of people either A, had never heard of, or B, saw once or twice, like in the 90s, and then forgot about it for 15 years. And you see it announced and you go, holy shit, that's that one. I saw that one time. And you go look and you go, oh my God, this, like, people not only know this movie, they love it and will put hours of bonus features on a release like Spookies. And then you watch the movie and you're like, wait, these are farting zombies. Why do we have 3.5 hours of documentaries and all of the special features ever? And it's because it's films like these that set the future for our filmmakers, no matter who. It's most of the people that we love in films that are in blockbuster movies started in low budget films like this. This movie is an example of that. It's an incredible feature. It's a good movie with great practical effects. It's not the highest quality, but this release is, if you're trying to get into Vinegar Syndrome, this is one of the first ones that I would say, I don't understand how you love and appreciate Vinegar Syndrome without a release like this. At least because it is like the quintessential type of title that they were putting out for many years. And then on top of that, every special feature under the sun. It's one of my favorites. Spooky's amazing.
So, fun fact, before I started my YouTube channel, I was on a little podcast, and we got to interview Frank Farrell, the producer, for that, and most notoriously Street Trash. So we got to interview him, and he invited us out. We didn't end up going, but he invited us out to New York, where they were doing a screening of Spookies, and then they were also going to do a screening right after of the making of documentary for it. And he was telling us during that interview that they did it once before in I think it was LA, and it was a sold out show, packed. Like they had people sitting in the aisles, like in the fire
Yeah.
exits, watching the film. And it was at that moment I was like, oh yeah, this movie's got a massive fan base, and that's a beautiful release. Beautiful release.
It's a great,
So
great, great title. The Slip did sell out. For everybody that's asking, the Slip sold out years ago. That title came out in like 2019 or 2020, something like that. This one is a little on the older side, especially for everybody that got into Vinegar Syndrome in the pandemic and in their mainstream heyday. But yeah, this is a good title to go back to, especially during a sale. They got a halfway to Black Friday sale coming up. Check that out if you haven't.
yeah. So I'm going to continue the trend of talking about one particular bonus feature on a release, and I'm going to go studio again. And I can't even explain how much this feature meant to me. So I have it in a multi-pack set, but more specifically, I'm talking about Final Destination 2, right?
Nice.
So hold on. So there is a 36-minute feature on the Final Destination 2 disc, and I think it's called Bits and Pieces, and it's advertised as the like behind the scenes of the kills, like just about the visual effects mixed with the practical effects and stuff. But I was Final Destination 2 came out what, 2003 ish, right?
Somewhere like that,
2002,
yeah.
2003. So I was 13 years old. That was the documentary or the little bonus feature that introduced me to Herschel Gordon Lewis, because they do this really cool thing where the first half of the feature is just the history of gore in
Yep.
film. And it starts by talking about the Grand Guignol Theater. They have interview with Herschel Gordon Lewis in that
Yep.
little bonus feature. And I mean, there are still movies that I find today that I watch that have clips in that little bonus feature that I'm like, oh, that's what that's from. Most notoriously for me, it was when Scream Factory put out Alone in the Dark, and it's the scene when what's his name has the Jason-ish mask on, and
Yep.
he rips out the guy's throat with the what's that 3-tongue gardening tool
Yeah.
thing with. I was like, oh shit, that's from the Final Destination 2 36-minute bonus feature.
Oh, that's
But
amazing.
with the announcement of the new Final Destination Bloodlines, God, I hate that title. I went back and I'm kind of like rewatching these. And when I threw on Final Destination 2, I was like, please have this bonus feature. Please have this bonus feature. And I rewatched it. And yeah, dude, that was such a gateway little thing. And I think I watched that more than the movie sometimes. Because I appreciate that. I appreciate
Right.
that history, the effort that went into putting that together. And still to this day, I'm kind of shocked that we don't really have like a full blown documentary on the history of kind of gore and practical effects in film, especially with like I have 15 hours of documentaries about just 80s horror behind me. I cannot believe there's not a documentary um about like the Grand Guignol and all that stuff. I think there is part of the Herschel Gordon Lewis set,
I
right?
think that
Godfather
part of
of
it, yeah.
Gore. Yeah, I think that's part of it. But yeah, that's just one of those features, man, that I still love to this day, 20 plus years later.
I'm gonna geek out for a second because this is a great pick. I want to shout out right now, literally all of the Final Destination discs and all of the Saw franchise discs, specifically on DVD. If you want some of the best mainstream special features ever put to disc, that isn't like an art house commentary. I understand those are great. I'm not. We're talking about a different thing right now. Come back in 2 minutes. All of those Final Destination titles and all of these Saw titles have literally some of the best examples of behind the scenes, of like Q&A with the actors, of the things that they went through, of how they got specific shots. But really, shout out right now to Final Destination 3 specifically on DVD. If you've never checked it out, they have a bonus feature on that DVD that is like basically a choose your own adventure. These people are up against it, and the kills are about to happen, and you get to choose if they live or die. And if I remember right, if you choose if everybody lives, it's really funny because it takes this like 85-minute movie and it ends up being like 21 minutes long. It's like
Yeah.
nothing. But the fact that they put all of this into the DVDs, I'm still waiting for the day that they re-release in like Saw will probably never end, but if we get like a giant Saw 4K box set someday and they port all of those DVD features over, that's when I will buy the studio release of these things, because they skipped the Blu-ray generation and we don't
Mhm.
need that. Those old like the see-through Saw DVD cases, that's where all of the incredible film like the conjecture behind the scenes about how they made these movies, that's where it was all found. They put them on Blu-ray and they said, fuck it, we need to save them a little bit of money. And now we get nothing. And I hate that. But you're so right. Those Final Destination DVDs on all the kills, the behind the scenes stuff, the outtakes in those movies, it
Mhm.
is such a perfect snapshot in time of how you make one of those types of movies. Yeah, incredible pick. Incredible pick.
Well, I think too, doesn't Final Destination 3, I don't know if it's on this disc, but I remember the DVD had like a 90-minute making of documentary as well. I'm pretty sure the Final Destination 3 one had a pretty comprehensive
Yeah.
behind the scenes. But remember the days of, because I think they did it on the Final Destination 3 disc. Remember the days of like, I can't remember a specific example, but the when you would the menu would start up and you would have to like pick a side before it brought you to a menu. It'd be like pick good or evil, and it would bring
Yep.
you to just a different looking menu with really nothing, nothing else. But those were the days to be alive, man.
Not to schlock my own stuff that you can purchase, but one of the issues of the Physical Media Advocate, there is a wonderfully written article by Jason, who is the owner of Not Quite Reality, a new found footage label out there. But he wrote a full article about the art of DVD menus specifically, because DVD menus were amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
how many of us, when you were younger and you watched Shrek, and you heard after 4 minutes fucking Eddie Murphy go, play the movie, yeah, play. Like the amount of times that went through, there was, oh god, one of the Kevin Smith movies, if you let it sit on the menu for 10 minutes, something happened and they started like cussing you out or something. If I remember right, the Devil's Rejects DVD went through like all kinds of not safe for work type of photos and imagery and stuff. But some of those discs, man, they put everything into those DVD menus, and we have lost that on the Blu-ray and the 4K generation. And God, I hope that comes back at some point, because it is one
Oh,
of those things that shows the care and extra artistry behind these. Yes, it costs some money. I understand some of these smaller boutiques cannot pull out of it, but it is so damn good that they would put that much time and energy into it. I loved all those.
does it bother you the new style of main menu where it'll pop up and then on the right it'll be playing like like preview clips of the bonus features? 'Cause that drives me
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I hate that menu style.
Oh man, I love I love how I mentioned Eddie Murphy voice and the comment goes wild. uh God, that's funny. My Arnold voice is, but to be fair, in that menu, he didn't sound like Eddie Murphy. He was trying to do like a weird accent. Anyways. Okay, I've got two left. I'm gonna go with kind of a fun pick, since the rest of mine were kind of like analytical and crazy. If you just want to see, I've had like seven. That's what she said about me tonight. So I'm gonna go for another one. If you want to see a really impressive package, check out the Scream Factory release of Big Trouble in Little China. This is going out of print right now, but this is one of those discs. The collector's edition of this is 2 discs, and it's Scream Factory. So the fact that they had to include the words "and much more" at the end of it, because they literally couldn't type everything, is so damn impressive for Scream Factory. So Disc 1, we have a new audio commentary with the producer Larry J. Franco, new audio commentary with Steve Johnson, who did the special effects. We have the classic commentary on here with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, literally just 2 bros hanging out. It's not analytical, it's just them hanging out, and it's so weird to listen to that. Isolated score, theatrical trailers, TV spots, vintage interviews. That's Disc 1. Disc 2, new interviews with a whole bunch of people from the film, including James effing Hong. They got James Hong with a new interview on this. On top of that, interviews with John Carpenter, Kurt Russell, the cinematographer Dean Cundy, and everybody else that are all archival. Vintage featurettes, deleted scenes, music videos, gag reels. This has everything you could ever want for Big Trouble in Little China, except for 4K. And now that it's going out of print from Scream Factory, I kind of think the studio is probably going to do the 4K of this. And that means we probably will not get all of these features again on a release. So I know it's going out of print. I'm not trying to tempt people, but if you want an incredible release of Big Trouble in Little China, obviously the slipcover is long sold out. The Scream Factory release of Big Trouble is a gigantic, immensely impressive, just wonderful set of bonus features.
Dude, first of all, disc 2 of that release has the smallest font I have ever seen on a main menu ever. Like, there's so many interviews, and it just keeps going, dude. There is so many on that disc. I'm really afraid that with the 4K that we're gonna get like a Escape from LA situation where it's just nothing on it and the transfer is not great.
Yeah, and they'll screw up the audio like they did Escape from LA.
Yeah, and then it'll become one of those weird Walmart ones. It's in a DVD case that gives you every.
Oh God, yeah.
Man, what a weird way to do it. So I'm going to top it off with another one last studio one, and it's again impact it had on me at the time that it came out, and I really want to give it to, much like I gave Peter Jackson credit for behind the scenes, I really want to give fair credit to Rob Zombie for his earlier releases and the making of documentaries of them. Specifically, I have here, this is fun, I have the trilogy, right? The Firefly trilogy. But in here, I actually have a loose disc that I'm trying to keep safe. The DVD disc for, what was this called? 30 Days in Hell. And I'm pretty sure this is, how long is this? Like 4 hours?
Yep.
I think, of just the making of Devil's Rejects. And it goes over, again, everything. Like, there's like 15 minutes of this dedicated to how they laid out the guts in the scene after the girl gets hit by the truck. Like, just so much. And same with Halloween. I actually have a different copy, a standalone copy of Halloween, just for like the 3.5 hour making of documentary. I mean, like, it's 31. I think that one's like almost 2 hours or over 2 hours. Those are whole other productions in itself, to have a crew assemble everything, follow the team around. And it's crazy too that, like, Rob Zombie, say what you want about 4.5 hours for the Halloween documentary.
It's like twice the length of the actual film.
Yeah, that's insane. But all the information that you could possibly ask for, and I have a feeling that these, like, those are relics. Companies, studios are not going to let people do that anymore. You know what I mean? You're lucky if you get like 9 minutes now, 10 minutes now. Most of the time when I get a new release and I see like, oh, making of, and I click on it and it's 6 minutes. I'm like, okay. They told me it's just more of like an advertised, like, it's
literally,
it's just them, discussing it. So I'm really like sad to say that outside of boutiques, we're probably never going to get that kind of stuff, again. It's kind of like Poor Things. Like, I really wish somebody was like, hey, we're gonna give this we're gonna have a crew come in so you guys can film an 1.5 hour long documentary on just the costume design or the production design of Poor Things. But nobody will ever do that. Hopefully one day we get a good era release like they did with The Lighthouse, that can really make a finally good behind the scenes content for it. So that's my last pick, because that was my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, I think when I recently interviewed Joe Lynch, I think we discussed a little bit about how his earlier features, he used to put a lot of love into the commentary. He did as much as he possibly could, and then just now when he was doing Suitable Flesh, there was a change, because those earlier budgets had literal budgets set aside for bonus features, and this one had nothing. And so he went out and did everything on his own. He wanted to make sure that the physical release of that had something, and it ended up a really, really great addition to the disc. And I'm so glad there's people like him still pushing for that. And that's where I really hope somebody like a Christopher Nolan or like a Guillermo del Toro or an Edgar Wright, who are probably the three biggest directors out there pushing physical
Mhm.
media in terms of when something gets announced or there's a problem, they're all over it. I mean, we've gotten big quotes from Christopher Nolan and Guillermo del Toro in the last year of you're you're the arbiter of these films for future generations. Physical media is like a Fahrenheit 451 level of losing information and all this sort of things. I'm really hoping that they start to champion including physical releases in their contracts for films. There's no
Mhm.
reason we shouldn't have that, because otherwise, like, poor things barely getting a Blu-ray, or All of Us Strangers seemingly not going to get any physical release in the US. If somebody is a big enough filmmaker and puts that in their contract, it might wake some of these studios up. We really need somebody to advocate on that level, and I hope somebody pulls through for us.
Well, Oppenheimer was definitely like a pick that I had in mind because the hour, I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes or whatever. I
Yeah.
appreciated that behind the scenes much more. And the thing that I was happy about was when I bought Oppenheimer, it had um the sticker on it that said like 2 or 3 hours of bonus features included, which I thought was the coolest thing because that used to be such a selling point and you never see anybody advertising the bonus features anymore. So I still
Right.
greatly appreciate that they're trying because that is a good look at like I didn't know that the anxiety attacks in Oppenheimer were practical.
Yep.
Had no idea until I watched that. So a whole new appreciation for little things like that.
I just want to say, Dylan Smithy, I see your comment and I find it hilarious. He says, I want a Disneyized version of a behind the scenes video of Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski having a happy friendship. It's so funny. Sibner says, between Oppenheimer and now the Cameron films being overwhelmed with orders, Disney and Universal need to wake up and smell the profit. I mean, honestly, from what I've heard, I've had two different insiders that I've talked to that have said the Oppenheimer thing really made a big impact last year. And if I believe Bill Hunt over at the Digital Bits said 25,000 copies went to Amazon and 25,000 went to all other retailers in the US. And by that came out on Tuesday, and I think it was by Thursday, pretty much you couldn't find a copy of it online to buy, and all of the stores where people wanted them were gone. Of course, you could go to BFE Idaho and find a copy, or some random shop like a Walmart in Mississippi or something probably had some, but in a lot of places where people were doing this, they were all sold out. And so supposedly, from what I'm hearing, it made a giant impact, and not just on Universal, but a couple other studios noticed, and it's supposedly changing some things in the future. And I'm very curious to see what that means. Obviously, it's like turning a ship; it'll take a little while. I get that, but I hope there are lasting effects for that we can really feel for the next couple of years.
Yeah, that was it took me till I think I found it the Saturday after release at a random Walmart. And it was the last one. And I think up until not long ago, right? It was still the number one selling disc for a long time, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
absolutely was.
that's
It's sold incredibly over since then, and I mean, to sell 50,000 copies in the first 7 days is impressive for a studio title, and then to be in the top three releases following that, and then to win the Oscar, which no doubt made that uptick even higher again.
yeah, that's insane. That's what a win, man.
I'm impressed, and it's a good title, so can't argue with it. My last one, noticeably absent in my four picks so far, is one that you've mentioned a handful of times tonight. And so I looked back at what was my first boutique Blu-ray, not boutique anything, but first boutique title that made me start collecting all of this years ago, and that happened to be an Arrow title. And so I was looking through my Arrow collection and thought, which one of these did I last go through in full and was impressed not only with all of the archival stuff, but with the amount of new things. And on top of that, the disc itself looks immense. And I had to go with the 4K release of Dario Argento's Deep Red. And this set, first off, is beautiful to behold for what it is. I mean, it's a classic film, one that's been loved for a long time. It looks way better than ever. And then on top of that, new 4K restoration of both the 127-minute Italian version and the 105-minute export version on different discs. Then on top of that, it's got the booklet, it's got the art cards, got all that fun stuff. But the extras. So we have a new audio commentary by Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, who are always top notch. You've got an archival audio commentary by Thomas Rostock, who's an Argento expert. You have 3 hours of new interviews with members of the cast and crew, including Argento himself, which, come on, like, that's incredible. And then on top of that, there's a whole bunch of archival footage. There is some other interviews on here. There is Arrow transfer trailers. There's Arrow Video 2018 trailer, image galleries. And then that second disc, they've got even more archival stuff. There's an archival introduction to the film by Claudio Simonetti of Goblin. There's an archival visual essay by Michael McKenzie featuring an in-depth appreciation of Deep Red. There's interviews with Argento, Dario Nicolodi, Claudio Simonetti, and the Argento collaborator Luigi Cozzi, all on that second disc. This box altogether is one of the most impressive things that Arrow has put out, because it's kind of like what Second Sight did with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I think this one is even a little more impressive. It's a release that's gotten quite a few physical media releases, taken up to the highest quality possible, and then loaded with all kinds of new footage that we never expected. The way that we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, sure, there's like 5 commentaries on it, and there's a giant book and all that stuff, but that movie's been exploited to hell. This movie deserves a little more discourse on it, and I'm impressed, so impressed that they were able to get everything on this. It's a beautiful set, beautiful release. Arrow has killed it with these Argento 4K titles that they've done, and I don't think it'll ever be topped. It's gorgeous.
And Deep Red is such a I feel like when it comes to Argento, nobody really talks about it. I know when I have just the US cover art of that 4K release. That was I had seen Bird with the Crystal Plumage, but I was still learning kind of like earlier Argento. And after watching Deep Red, I was like, holy shit, how would I never, because before that I was a typical like Suspiria is his best film person. Now Suspiria is like number 3 or 4
Same
for me. So yeah, Deep Red is a crazy film. And actually, funny enough, the Arrow release of Bird with the Crystal Plumage was the first video essay I ever watched, and that's what got me to fall in love with video essays, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, yeah
Man, I was worried that talking about these tonight we wouldn't have enough to talk about, but the amount that we've pumped out of 10 titles, like, again, that's only 10 titles, and tonight we covered 40 announcements, and every single week across the board for boutique and studio stuff, there's going to be more than 1,000 titles released on physical media over this next year, and that's even just the English speaking releases. I generally don't cover all of the German stuff or the French titles. There's so much more than that, and to see that. Before I go down that sentence, let me start another sentence first. I had somebody ask me a question this week, and I looked up something and tried to get a rough estimate. And the way that I counted, I think I counted around 145 active boutique labels in the world right now, something like that. And there's probably more, because there's some that do like 1 or 2 a year. Unfortunately, it's rough when you're trying to keep track of all those. But yeah, something like 145 active boutique labels, and only like 90% of those are OCN partner labels. But that was a joke. When you're looking at that many titles coming out and that many companies that are wanting to sell things, so they're going to put their all into a lot of those releases. Sure, not all of them. We can see some put more effort than others. That's a lot of extras. That's a lot of interviews. That's a lot of visual essays. That's a lot of commentaries. I get it. But man, the information that you get out of these is so much worth your time that if you have not taken that time recently, fully endorse it. There's a couple things I want to point out. I understand that like accessibility can be an issue. I know that many of them are not subtitled, and for those that are deaf or hard of hearing, not only is that hard to ingest a full release, it's also really expensive when really all you're doing is buying the film that's subtitled. So I understand that can be rough, but on top of all that, there's a lot of people that just don't have the time. I'm one of those people lately. I've not been able to watch as much as I want to. 2 young kids and like 4 full-time jobs, it feels like. But the titles that are out there that are good, that people are praising, pay attention. The special features are good. The special features are worth it. The special features that are being praised are praised for a reason. They are they are new scholarly documents on films that in many instances never had them before. So keep an eye on those. Make sure you're paying attention to the smaller labels like Mondo Macabro, who are incredibly consistent at putting all of their effort into a title. Places like Indicator that are filling up the entire back cover of every single release they do because they got all of the special features. And then on top of that, even Kino, they don't do a lot of new stuff, but when they do, they still work out all of their releases, getting a commentary for the most part. And even then, they're putting more effort. These Kino cult titles are incredible. This release of Crybaby by John Waters is getting crazy. It's getting really good. There's a lot of new stuff on there. I'm impressed. I could talk about bonus features my entire life probably. So I will shut up and let you put a cap on it.
Well, it's a challenge, man. When I was trying to like figure out what I wanted this year to be for my YouTube channel, I try not to think of things as like content creator, because I don't really like that phrase,
Right.
I try to think of it as like everything I do, everything I deep dive into or that I talk about, I'm investing into my own personal education. And YouTube is just a platform for me to haphazardly spit that information out and hope that 25 people watch it. You know what I mean? So like my investment into Severin, and behind me, I have a ton of different labels that I collect and I watch and that I appreciate. If I didn't appreciate it, it wouldn't be on the shelf. I wouldn't put my hard-earned money into it. My investment into Severin really came around when I started listening to the podcast, their companion podcast, and hearing the effort and getting the consistent, that consistent quality. It is also nice that I can just buy a bundle of movies and they all show up, one time. That's convenience. But the thing I'm finding is like just that investment. And I feel like as a film lover, even if I'm watching something I've never heard of, a complete blind spot, I feel like I'm being given a presentation done by people who love and appreciate what I love and appreciate about it.
Right.
And it feels like when you, for me to be even come on this podcast and to talk with you about movies, I feel like it's a rare thing to talk to people who love the same exact thing that you do and have the same exact appreciation. I'm looking at my two first Indicator titles that I picked up, and the first thing that I noticed was like, we're all cardboard collectors. We do. That's what she said again. We do appreciate a nice package. I do. So I look at the presentation, but then I look at the bonus features, and I'm like, dude, this is great. Like, I know nothing about these, and I'm going to walk away from these knowing as much as I possibly can. And that's what I appreciate most. And it's not that I ever want to talk down on labels that maybe don't invest in the bonus features as much. Just my investment into them without really kind of realizing it doesn't appear as much, because I just want information. I'm not going to remember all of it.
Right.
But I just want information. Like a recent release, didn't come out yet, but Cauldron Films doing the Houses of Doom.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that set, we haven't even seen, a real package. We just have the art makeup of everything. But if you're an Italian horror fan, like that is easily worth the $95 they're asking for the pre-order price. What they're jamming into that thing looks incredible. And that's one of the sets that I'm going to dive headfirst into. It's not even going to make it to the shelf till I'm 100% through. You know what I mean? This Black Manuel set, this is so intimidating, but so worth, the years I'm probably going to spend getting into that. It's one of those things I don't really know how to put my love for it into words. It's when I have it in my hand and I have a giant smile on my face that I realize what this stuff does for me and many other people like me. You know what I mean?
Well said. To put a cap on that, I know you made the joke about us being cardboard collectors, but I think tonight is a really great discussion to really highlight primarily that we are buying these for the discs. Obviously, there's always conversation about slip covers and why hard boxes are out there when we don't need them and all this other stuff. All that leads back to like the conversation on limited editions and all that other fun stuff that comes with it. I get it. I get the appeal behind them. Hell, I've got literally every single Vinegar Syndrome slipcover that's ever been made. Do I need them? No, absolutely not. I love having them. However, these discs are where they're at. The reason that we should be collecting these is to absorb what's on these discs, to appreciate the films, to appreciate one thing that I didn't spend enough time talking about tonight, the love for short films. In fact, shout out who's in the chat tonight, Deaf Crocodile, for everything that they do. They try to get as many short films as they possibly can. Even, I know I put out an interview, so I've talked about it a lot, but The Tune, their Bill Plimpton disc that they just put out, multiple short films, commentary, interviews, everything that you could possibly ask for this film. And you've got just an array of context behind literally one of the greatest illustrators in the history of art. Like, he is a gift. And when you're looking at something like this, those short films go a long way. You're not going to find those on physical media generally. You're going to find stuff like I don't know, the cheap interviews with deleted scenes that when you pop it in and you watch them in total, it's like 10 minutes. But so when you see somebody like Deaf Crocodile who's bending over backwards to load their discs and make them absolutely worth every penny you're spending on them, I can't help but respect them, but also it feels so much better to support them because your money is going so much further.
Yeah. And that's such a huge thing. There are many labels that I might not collect. They might not have something I'm interested in, but I have immense respect for, just because I see and I hear of the quality, and I don't have to have them, obviously buying them as a form of respect. But if there's something I'm not interested in, it's really hard to put money towards it.
Right.
But I can still sit back and greatly appreciate, what companies are doing and what they're putting in. And I think from here, it's only going to be up. Everybody keeps talking about, oh, physical media is dying or whatever. And I think I don't think that could be any more wrong. You know what I mean? I think that we're in the heyday for information. I mean, dude, just go on Amazon and type in like horror movie books, and there are so many I mean, I just bought a 500-page book about Lucio Fulci. I have another 300-page book that's part 2 of a Jess Franco series. Yeah, see? Like, we're in the heyday of information, man. And it's all out there as long as we're willing to dive into it. And I'm always going to be diving headfirst into it. If I retain 1% of it, I'm happy. But,
Yeah, it's a lot to remember. It's a lot of context. It's a lot of things that if you're literally trying to research for a bigger project or idea or something, these discs are exactly where it's at. It's a gift, man. I just appreciate it. This has been a fun conversation.
And there's times, man, when I do like my Severin showcase and it's been 24 hours since I watched the disc I'm going to talk about. And sometimes I'm like, I sit here and I'm like, I don't remember. Like, I can't put together half of what I heard because there's just so much information. But this is like, this conversation, when we were talking about ideas, I was hoping that this would work out, like talking about bonus features. But this has been the coolest thing, dude. I'm so stoked that we did this.
Yeah, this is one of the special ones. I think we picked 10 excellent titles, and not to mention, I think we alluded to like 10 more probably through talking about all these. If you pick up literally all of the ones, not the announcements, but just what we talked about in the extras packages tonight, I think this is one that you could have like 2 months worth of watching just through those discs, and it's like 15-20 discs. That's nothing. Yeah, this has been epic. Anything else coming up on your channel you want to turn everybody on to, or a recent video or anything you want to highlight?
I did just put out the Severin showcase for February. I'm going to be putting out the March one as soon as I get those releases. I ordered them pretty quick, so I should be getting those, hopefully by like before the 10th of April. This month was a stacked month for them, for their releases, so I'm hoping it doesn't take me forever to dive into those. But as far as what's coming, I mean, I'm still going to continue my Inside the Mind of Coffin Joe. I'm actually going to be doing, starting in August, I'm preparing to do like a deep dive into the All Haunts Be Ours box set. So just a lot more deep dive stuff. And I'm also working on putting together some sort of series about just like practical effects and practical gore effects. It's something that I've been wanting to put together for a long time, that I feel like I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to call the series Practically, and I'm just going to deep dive in. I'm trying to figure out a way to get through YouTube censorship with that, because they're a pain in the ass. But I'm working on that, so that'll come eventually. So other than that, man, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants.
Same here.
So
Like I said, all of the issues of the Physical Media Advocate are available in physical now. You can get that at the link in the description below. If you love conversations like this about extras, about films, about everything else, you might be interested in the Patreon. Check out the Patreon at the link below. We have a Discord where we are talking about this shit literally 24/7. Since we went live, I've had like 40 messages pop up of people talking about stuff in the Discord tonight. So it's a really fun place with like-minded people, and there's something about joining a community that discusses this type of thing so that you feel validated in your love for these things that really help. I strongly suggest it. Not even just for the supporting the channel aspect, but there's something about this community that's just special, and I appreciate everybody taking part in this. Other than that, like I mentioned last week, this coming Monday, I've got an interview coming up with Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec that happened right here in this room, and it's a really fun one. If you have laughed at Jeremy being on my channel multiple times before, a big portion of the interview, we just spent time just completely just insulting Jeremy. He wasn't here. We just wanted to talk shit about him. Beyond that, I've got already like my next 5 or 6 interviews already done and ready to go up. So it's going to be a pretty incredible month of interviews on the channel. And I'm eager to see what you all respond to next. And next Thursday, I'll shout out the guest since it's in the Physical Media Advocate. John Daly, who is editing all of the trailers for TerraVision. He goes by Rock Chudson on Twitter and Instagram. A lot of people have seen that name going on. He's gonna be our guest next week, and it's gonna be a fun conversation. The discussion we're having next week is gonna be an interesting one that I think everybody's gonna have different answers for. So if that's not enough of a teaser, check back next Thursday to see what we're talking about. And last, I'll say, Chris, you did excellent. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Dude, thanks for having me on, man. Super stoked. This was awesome, dude. Thank you.
We'll have to have you back. And until next time, I appreciate you all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.